I was all
yeah, I actually did the midnight.
my
launch
360
of, like, Halo 3.
Actually, no, the one I have in there is the black, smaller one. But my first 360 was the Halo edition.
Right.
Because I went in all
was fucking
green. I
cool,
still have
too.
my controller. It's laying around here somewhere. It's my fucking all green controller.
I sold it for more than I bought it for.
Nice. Mine died twice. I sent.
Yeah, but I had a Halo Zune. So
Oh, I
Yeah.
did have a Zune. I got it on like one of those Woot deals for like
Right.
like $99.
yeah, the Halo Zune actually came with like all the
sound.
soundtracks on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the thing.
Halo. I think Microsoft might be listening with Infinity. It seems like they may have listened to what the community wanted, and like, which is basically stop making fucking Call of Duty.
Right.
You're like,
We have one of those.
We have that. We have it
Yeah.
every year. Halo's this like once every 5 years thing that needs to be groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And I
it
think
needs,
that
it needs
with
to be the reason
Infinity,
to buy a console.
yeah, I think Infinity is that reason. I think that's the reason why we only got that that teaser of the. By the way, you're on a Halo ring and everything everywhere looks realistic. So have fun.
Yeah.
I think that's.
They were basically just saying like we're making a Halo, but not like don't expect this anytime soon. Like this is just
No, this is we're bringing you back into.
this is
we're
that
not,
fucking Master Chief in the desert scene that you know.
Again.
Yeah.
I still love that McFarlane Toys made a fucking toy for that.
Yeah.
And it never happened.
No,
Yeah.
there's
Never
just a toy
once.
of it.
Nowhere in
And
the
like,
story.
Like one day, some kid is gonna like go back through all these retro games, play the entire Halo series, look around that shit online, see this toy, and go, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
Did someone make a
it
fan
is-
fiction toy?
It is like it's in like one of the books or something, like the
Yeah.
scene in the desert or whatever. But that specific thing with like the fucking this is how long I've actually been since I played Halo. I forgot a lot of the lore of it. When what's his name, the ancient CPU thing, fucking rises out of the desert. It doesn't actually rise out of the desert in the game, which. Sand has a lot of particle physics that you don't want to throw into a console.
No,
I mean, like,
not on the
imagine
360.
giant sandstorm coming out of the fucking ground. You're like, that's dead.
Yeah.
Master Chief stands there looking dramatically. Darude starts playing in the background.
Fucking
That's
sandstorm. Yeah, no, I've got 3/5 off tomorrow, so I can just sit around and do nothing tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drink
Yeah.
and play Destiny since the update came out, but it isn't really updated until next week.
It's weird how they've been doing that lately
Yeah, they-
with a lot of games. They're like,
it's a mid-season week where it's transferred over, but you don't get any of the new stuff, but you get all the cosmetic shit,
huh?
and you can start progressing towards the new shit.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get into that some during video games.
Yeah, a trend I've been noticing is that companies are releasing their patch notes like a week before the patch, like almost to generate hype.
Yeah.
I think part of it is to generate hype. Yeah,
It's actually been working really well in the mobile space.
Oh,
there's
okay.
a lot of mobile games, and I'm not talking about like Clash of Clans and stuff
Right.
like that. I'm talking about things that are less brutal to people's wallets.
Yeah.
Games like Marvel Future Fight.
Okay.
They actually trickle out their information over the course of a month because it gets people excited about the new characters that are coming out and the new levels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. See, the way Bungie handles theirs is we patched today, so here's the patch notes.
Yeah,
They'll give you a little bit like in the This Week at Bungie. They'll give you like a sneak peek at what the new changes are, especially with things that people have been like asking for. Like, hey, this
Yeah.
is coming. Will it be up in this? And it'll be up in a couple weeks. But they really only the full notes are only that day.
Yeah.
But in the case of this one, since there's a week between the update that we
right.
just got and the content. They actually, in the patch notes, say a bunch of these patches aren't actually activating until the 4th. Where you're going to have to download another patch,
Right.
which is the finalization of this shit.
Yeah.
But it's the week of, I don't know what to do. I guess we just, wander around for a week, take a week off. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
all right, well, let's go ahead and do this thing.
Let's get it. I don't think I'm in frame. Did you check?
No,
You're not
I'm
in
not in
frame.
frame.
I didn't. Somebody touched it. I can see that somebody touched it.
If I just
No, it's up there.
It's at the top.
okay.
They got bumped.
That got moved. Yeah, this whole thing, this whole fractured butthole thing got moved.
That's I have no head currently.
Yeah, let me switch to the other view. So I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
see
Switch to the
it.
bigger view.
Yeah, let me go to editor so I can see what the fuck I'm doing from the side. All right.
All right.
Much better.
We all have heads.
We
I
all
have
have
half a
heads.
face.
Yeah.
And then
I could have a big old swastika tattooed right here. No, no.
I'm just gonna. Now we're just gonna do nothing but the Hector show.
That's fine. I am gonna talk a lot today.
It's just
so.
gonna be Hector. I'm gonna zoom in and everything. All right, let's go back.
Just zooming on his junk.
There you go.
Yeah, it's too far down.
Yeah, it's pretty far down.
All right, that seems about.
Oh, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Ah, and I tried to tighten it, it fucked it all up. I'm gonna see if I need beer. I just lift it.
No, you're good. You got about half a beer there.
When I think about you, I shit myself. I don't
Gross.
want to shit my pants. No. I like sitting in my own filth.
Jeez, these notes are super long, James.
What for?
Looks like you wrote too much. I don't know if you saw the patch notes, but he added my thoughts on Fallout 76 to the bottom. And
Oh no,
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
You
the
know,
stuff
I
you put
don't.
in there.
Is that what we're calling our notes now? Is the patch notes?
It's the patch notes.
they're the patch
the
notes.
the weekly update.
Yeah.
This weekly patch notes. Yeah. Why do we name the show Patch Notes? That seems like a better podcast name.
Well, yeah, it might be, but it doesn't apply to movies or comic books.
Sure it does. It's retcon. Just call it. All right, ready?
Do we really want to go home to West Virginia? Adventurers, equip your Pit Boys for an all-new episode. Greetings, adventurers.
That was not a hand wave. That
Oh.
was a hold on. I'm moving something.
Okay.
You're gonna need like at least 2 different hand waves for those things.
Yeah. Well, there's this one. There's this, which is talking.
This is talk.
This is talking.
This is hold on.
This is like a. Yeah. I'm like way out of frame now. I'm just fuck over here. I'm just gonna stay over here now. All right, now the chat. If anybody comes in here, which they're not going to because they don't even know what fucking day of week that we're on now, 'cause
Right.
they're all confused. Is over here. That was the hold on. I need this fucking thing out of my goddamn way so I can see what I'm doing. Your glass is very rattly.
Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the show. We are the Surly Nerd, your one-stop shop for geek news that might have flown under your radar over the last week. I'm your host, James, and sitting across from me is the producer of this fine show, Tony.
Yar.
And with us, as always, is our third chair host, Hector.
Howdy.
And if you're new to the show, welcome. This week we'll be talking about the release and fallout of Fallout 76. But before that, we have a recap of all the nerd news that's fit to rant about for your ears. Don't forget that you can keep connected with us through thesurlynerd.com, where you can follow us on all social media platforms and even donate to the show. Every penny donated goes right back into the show that we make for you every week. With all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, adventurers of all ages, it's time for The Prelude.
A little stumbling.
It was, but that's how it's going to be today. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I figured that like unless one of us.
I'm going to preface that going into this next
Yeah, I was
section.
gonna say unless you want one of us to like go ahead and start redoing this real quick.
I think
We're-
we're all right.
Wait, it was gonna. Yeah, it's gonna remain stumbling.
Yeah, a little bit.
Prelude.
All right, this is the prelude. This is what we've been doing with ourselves this week, what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what's been occupying our free time. Before we go any further, to all of our adventurers that are out there saying, what the fuck's going on with the episode this week? I have been sick for the last 6 days, and so
And you still are.
everybody else is carrying the show for me today. So please do not blame me for my tone or my stumbling. I'm doing the best I can to get through this. So, Hector, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Let's see. I saw. What did I see? I saw a movie called Sorry to Bother You. That's why I couldn't remember.
Oh, I
the
mean,
name, 'cause
it's
it
been on my
was
like to
so
watch
strange.
list for like since I saw the trailer.
Jesus fucking Christ. This movie is a trip. It like I would have really loved to see this movie in theaters after having watched it because there's this like slow progression from like, okay, yeah, obviously kind of anti-capitalist, not being too subtle with the metaphors. Oh my god, what the fuck? I want off this ride right now. Please get me away from here.
Can you describe it in terms
No, I can't tell you anything about it. I can tell you how how the plot starts, and then I have to stop
Honestly,
because
this is the one
don't
you
even
kinda
watch it.
have to, like I say, the trailer does it give too much away?
The trailer gives nothing away.
Okay.
I was shocked when I watched the movie, but still, don't watch the trailer. Don't have any
Because
idea
that's
what
the only
you're
way I can
getting
really
into.
explain what this movie is watch the
Right.
trailer.
So-
aside from as a dude who works at
A telemark-
as
yeah.
a telemarketer, and he has to learn to use his white voice.
Yes, and
like, that's like
that's-
the plot. That's the only plot.
And that's
you know.
literally the only plot I can tell you, and it's literally the first like 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And then it just goes fucking apeshit. Like, I can't tell you how many times I paused the movie and went, "Oh my god, really?"
Were you like, am I
Nice.
too high for this movie?
Yes, yes, and I wasn't. I was the normal amount, and the movie was just insane.
It's available on Hulu, I think, right now. Hulu got the rights for it.
If it is, then go watch it. Like,
Yeah, I think I turned on Hulu and it's like, hey, this is on here. I was like, oh fuck yes, I forgot to go watch this in theaters.
Yeah,
So sorry to bother you.
yeah, sorry to bother you. Now, when I say go watch it, I mean it is oftentimes highly offensive and truly horrifying, and not in a horror way. In a like, this is way too real, and like,
Especially for people who have worked in a call center.
yes, it's so far beyond real that it's like, I don't know, like if you took
Surrealism.
if you took everything about like our modern work culture, amped it up to 11 and took it into the not too distant future, that's what we would be looking at, and it's fucking terrible.
Wow.
Yeah,
All
but I do recommend it. I had a greatest time watching it. The audacity of it pleased me greatly. I also got the game Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
For the PlayStation 4, so I've been playing
That was on a huge sale.
it was on a huge
A
sale.
lot
That's
of
why I
things are on
bought
a
it.
huge sale this
Yeah,
this
you
week.
could get God of War was like $25 or something like that.
Battlefield 5, the game that like came out like last week,
Oh,
is,
yeah.
is $30 right now. That's fucking
Yeah,
ridiculous.
there's a lot of really great winter sales for on software for some reason, but I picked up Spider-Man. It's a lot of fun. It took me a little maybe like an hour to really get into it and feel like I wanted to play it, and then suddenly like my entire afternoon was gone.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
took that to like click and really understand.
like the
it.
tutorial felt like it was like holding my hand a lot, and then it's big open world, and I was like, I guess I'll swing over there, and that was pretty fun. And oh, a robbery, oh, let me fight that guy. Oh, fucking Spider-Man, bitch. Oh, let me swing again. Ooh, I can go faster if I swing this. And then it was like,
And then you're
8
just hunting costumes for 8 hours.
and then it was 8 p.m. and I didn't know what happened. Yeah.
That's one of the best reviews I think you can give it.
Yeah, for real. I lost track of time.
Very
like,
nice.
very much, a lot of time. But
Awesome.
yeah, that was my weekend.
What about you, Tony?
So this is something I did like 2 weeks ago, but I forgot to talk about. I watched the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Okay, no spoilers, but like, was it good?
We try not to spoil the shit we did for the week on
Yeah.
here. That's the thing that we do. Our listeners don't want to have the
I'm
entire thing
saving it for
spoiled
an
them.
occasion.
So it's a Netflix show.
It's a Netflix
Movie.
film / anthology. It's an anthology film done by the Coen brothers. It's 6 stories set in the West.
Okay.
The first one is like kind of a cowboy musical, which is where
Okay.
where it gets its name is the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Right.
And after that, you kind of have like every piece is like a Western genre piece within it. So it's
Okay.
It's the Western musical. Then you have you have one with people going across the plains. You got that. You have the people just trapped in or just sitting in a carriage talking to each other. It's wonderful. The acting in this thing is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, the acting list, if you look it up, is ridiculous.
Tom Waits, he has basically his own one where it's just him talking to himself for like
Wow.
a good 30 minutes.
Okay.
It's fucking amazing. It's
bet it
so
is.
well done.
Okay.
The
Interesting.
Coen Bros knocked it out of the fucking park with this. I could
they
not
usually
be
do,
happier.
so.
Well, some of their films I'm like meh, but this is one that I'm like fuck yes, back to the
Do
fucking A
you
game.
feel like this was a movie anthology that could really only be done on Netflix? It really couldn't be put into theaters because people would be like, "That's a little too weird for theaters."
So anthologies are really, I think, at this point, better in online media where it's either Amazon, Hulu, Netflix,
Yeah.
even HBO putting them out makes more sense than having a theatrical release for something like this. And that's actually, I think, the reason why anthology is doing so well. It's either on TV, which TV's rules have gotten so lax where we can do more of the horror-related anthologies.
Yeah.
But we can have these anthology either movies or series on an online medium that it makes more economic sense because obviously a lot of CGI was used in this film.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
it's a westerns done by the Coen brothers. The cast is huge based on talent, but actually relatively small. It's not. It's a period piece, so it costs more than making a modern film,
Right.
Because costuming and sets
and
and
sets,
everything else,
yeah.
and having to CGI out fucking buildings in the background.
I need to have a horse guy. Who has a horse guy?
I don't know. Fucking Jurassic Park had a dinosaur guy, and
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, Red
He
Dead
did the
Redemption had
worst
like
job.
50 horse guys.
Oh yeah.
this guy's gurgling horse balls.
So, yeah, enjoyable. Would recommend.
I would totally recommend that. Other than that, I mean, it's been playing some Destiny, doing some of that grinding. We'll talk more about that in the video game section.
Yeah, we do have some guys to talk about.
Yeah, no, I don't really have any TV. Oh, Mayans. I watched all of the Mayans.
Right.
Oh, how the
So
spinoff from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I told you that's what I did this week while I was playing.
Was it terrible?
It's way better than the thing that he made after Sons of Anarchy.
Oh God, yeah, that was
Bastard
ill
Executioner.
advised.
The Viking, whatever the fuck that
Yeah.
thing was that we. I literally couldn't
I
make
forget
it
what it's called.
The Bastard Executioner.
The Bastard Executioner.
Cool.
That was fucking
great.
terrible.
Again, that was a great title. The premise sounded interesting.
the premise was
I
interesting.
couldn't make it through 30 minutes of it.
Nope, I don't think I know anybody that could.
I think
I
I
just turned it on, I was like,
got
I'm
through
done.
the first like 3 episodes, and then I
Wow,
was like,
that's impressive.
Okay, that's a lot of gore, and I'm still very bored.
Yeah, that was the problem. Was like, I don't know what 30 minutes in. I was like, I don't know what's going on at all. Who anybody is. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Like it was an exercise in futility, I think, with that show.
Do you
But
feel-
Mayans, if you like Sons of Anarchy and you wanted more Sons of Anarchy, watch Mayans. It's
I've heard that it really died, and I think I've heard the intro song playing. And there's
yeah.
there's a lot of politics about it. Like the series itself is a lot about politics because it is about the Mayans, and of course they are not white people, and so how they get treated, how like
they can't just be riding around on motorcycles all willy nilly.
right.
Like
There's a
white
whole lot of
people
like
can.
racial tension that's a part of it.
it's not so much in the show at this point. The opening song definitely has that in there. It's
Yeah.
kind of more of the history of Hispanic people. But the show exists in a fake town in Southern California, right on the border, where they're dealing with the drug cartels from Mexico.
Right.
And if you watched Sons of Anarchy, you already knew that it was an established thing.
Right.
The cartel, the fake cartel family that they created, all that history already exists within this universe. So
Right.
they just continued down that path line. The characters they've added to it is really interesting because you're not following the higher ups in the company really overall. You're following kind of one of the guy, the head of the cartel, but you're following 2 guys that are just dudes in the motorcycle club.
Okay.
So
it isn't like,
you
Sons of
get the
Anarchy
story
where
of the
it's like-
higher people, but like they're not. It's not following their day to day life. It's really
Right.
it's 2 brothers. And now everybody has
In a van.
Rick and Morty stuck in their head. It's 2 brothers that
I was just thinking about the 2 brothers from like Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's 2 brothers, and then one of them's in a motorcycle
Fighting-
club, and
fighting-
the other one's
fighting.
also in a motorcycle club, and together they're fighting other motorcycle clubs, and drugs are trafficking, and it's 2 brothers. All right, yeah, I'm done with my Rick and Morty thing, which
Yeah.
is for me funny as fuck. But no, it's a kid who is he has an eidetic memory, and as the show puts it, he has a photographic memory, and it fucking pisses me off every time every fucking show says that.
Because it's obviously not.
Because it's not that. It's eidetic. That's the not fucking
Right,
same
but
thing.
is that a fault of this show, or is that
It's a fault of society.
I was going to say, is
It's
that a
just-
vernacular, or is it a term that people
would
would use if they do not understand or
Yes,
not
that's
educated
that's
on it?
it's the uneducated. This is the way it was explained in the 70s on TV.
Right.
So it's just continued down the line.
Right,
Right.
and that's what I'm saying is that we could be using. No, what I'm asking is that we could be using the word eidetic memory, but would those characters have an education and have the knowledge to use that word correctly,
What
or
time
would
period
would
did
they
this-
just
did
be
this-
repeating what?
Well, in
they
the
have
case of
learned?
Suits, yes, the dude was in fucking like Harvard and
Did
shit.
this
He
take
just-
place?
Yes, in the case of
modern
Suits,
times?
yes,
They should have been
Right.
fixing it. They should have
Right.
been saying, "Fuck you! It's not a fucking photographic memory. It's
Right.
eidetic. You dumb piece of shit."
Well,
Sure,
Okay.
but-
Does the show take place in like? Is it modern or is this like in the 70s?
No, it's
in
right now.
Lodi,
It's
or-
right
okay.
now. It's
What I've-
So yeah,
Right.
There's
What-
this bit, and this is just a little history, and this is another Kurt Sutter show. Although he worked on it with Ryan, who went on to do Justified. But in the Shield, there's this whole plot point where Vic Mackey's son develops autism, and he's having a conversation with all his cop buddies in the car, and he brings something up. He doesn't say, "Hey, my kid has autism." And Shane, the one in the side seat, played brilliantly by Walton Goggins, says like, "Oh yeah, like those retarded kids, right?" He goes, "Autism isn't retardation. Learn your fucking shit."
Yeah.
And
Right.
I appreciated it that the show took the time to say that about something that they were writing about.
Right,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what I was asking in terms of the way that the wording of the phrase was. If the people in the show didn't have the kind of education in which they would use the word eidetic.
Okay, so the kid that has the eidetic memory is incredibly smart, and that just kind of goes hand in hand with having an eidetic memory because
Right.
you can recall everything you've ever fucking learned. So he would generally be smarter than everybody else. Unfortunately, his mother got killed, and he went and found the person, or tried finding the person to kill him, and ended up shooting a cop and went to jail. This is all in the first episode where you find out all of this. Decided to make a plea deal while he was in jail because his brother was already in a motorcycle club to get out to join the club to give information about the cartel.
Oh,
that is the premise of the base story of the show.
Okay.
There's more to do with the politics and things, and afterwards, that's the base story.
So we're
yes, he fucking would have been like, "I have an eidetic memory. Quit saying photographic, you fucking dipshit."
Okay, that answers the question.
Yeah.
So
Anybody who has that fucking eidetic memory would say, "I have a fucking eidetic memory." It's called It's not what you're fucking saying.
Okay.
Quit fucking saying it that way.
All right, I get it. Now that we've had this nerd out on fucking vocabulary, would you recommend the Mayans? Also, can somebody who has not watched Sons of Anarchy watch
Yes,
this and
if you
enjoy
haven't watched Sons of Anarchy, you can watch it, and it is its own separate thing. It does nod back to Sons of Anarchy. The Sons of Anarchy are in it. There are characters from that show that show up
just regular
like
Sam
twice.
Crow or like actual
No,
like,
from
actors
from
the
Redwood,
show? Okay.
from Redwood. Sam Crow,
right.
the original,
Yeah.
the club of the yes.
Okay. But it does take place after.
It does take place after it.
Okay.
After the events that, if you watch Sons of Anarchy, kind of stopped that storyline.
Yeah.
Right.
Dead in its tracks, literally.
Wah, wah.
You don't need to watch Sons of Anarchy. It does stand up on its own. It is very enjoyable for what it is.
Okay.
It's Kirk Sutter. He's a really good world creator.
Right.
And his characters have depth and pathos and it's everything that you need it to be. And it's I would say it's not a show that you can idly watch because unless you speak Spanish, you will have to read it.
Okay.
A lot of the show is in Spanish.
I actually really like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no,
I appreciate that.
I mean, Edward James Olmos is one of the was one of the characters in the show, and it's really awesome getting him to see him actually speaking Spanish because I've never seen him do that before.
That's funny.
Like, think about it. You're like, wait, he's a Hispanic actor that's been in a fuckload of movies and like never spoken Spanish, and no, he's in it. And he's fucking amazing, of course, because he's just. It's Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this whole section up real quick. I did want to throw this one out there. I did watch a Netflix show. I do watch a lot of cooking competition shows. Netflix just put out a cooking competition show called The Final Table.
I watched the entire thing.
I watched the entire thing, start to finish. There is no prize money involved in this show.
Nope.
You are just competing for the sake of competing.
It's for Cookpeen.
It is for Cookpeen. It is a true food show. There's no side stories about all the characters. It is literally just about cooking.
There's no asides where it's like, I can't believe she would say that.
No, none of that bullshit. Like, you do get the history of the cooks that are cooking, but it's
You get
never
their
a
careers.
dramatic.
It's like, here's why I'm here. Here's the restaurants I've worked at.
Right.
Here's the geniuses I've
The
studied
only
under.
way I can describe this is it is basically hipster Iron Chef.
Yeah, 100%.
And by the way, I found this out yesterday, is one of the most expensive unscripted shows that has ever been made.
I bet.
Each episode of The Final Table cost a minimum $2 million to make.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
The fuck are they cooking? Elephants?
It's
they're cooking
ridiculous.
whatever they want, but like the people that they have on the show, like legitimate celebrities from every country, like celebrities that as Americans we won't necessarily know, but people like when they're doing the Indian food like episode. People from fucking India show up and like he's the best food critic in India and like he's a known actor in India and they come here and like this tastes like what I grew up with and this guy's like
the little bit that I
There's
saw
always like a weird third one.
Yeah.
He's like, he's a comedian from downtown, and you're like, okay, I guess he's here.
There was a lot of that, but it was very authentic and very well put together with. I mean, you could call it a lot of pretension, but it's really all about the food. It's never about them.
Yeah.
No one is ever like,
you
I'm
will
the greatest
find
chef.
yourself making fun of some of the cooks, but that's only because their personalities just lend to it.
That's the same thing with any reality competition
But
show.
like I said, this
You end
really
up being
doesn't.
like, oh, I hate that guy.
Yeah, but no one's like, I'm the best. Of course I'm going to win. Everyone's like, I'm cooking for who? Holy shit, I better do a
There
good
happens to
job.
be like one guy on the show who's like really into like the history of food, and so like he obsessively cooks things like as they were originally presented, like when they were first created. And
So he makes a rock?
and you're, dude, I shit you not, like it goes that far.
There's a
And-
platter of pebbles?
And like,
It
like
goes crazy.
2/3 into the show, you just find yourself making fun of this dude. And like, I don't know, what are you gonna do? Just like slap a turkey like several times and then throw it on a plate? Like, is that what we're doing now? All right, that's everything that we have for the prelude this week. We're gonna take a small break. When we come back, we'll be going into level 1 comic book news.
Yeah, no, when my mom was over for Thanksgiving, she loves shit like that, and we always need something neutral to watch between us. So, yeah, she was like, oh, that looks interesting, and we just ended up fucking binging the entire thing.
So, but yeah, that was that one dude that I found out making fun of him the whole time. It was just like, we have to do this the way that the original indigenous people did it.
No, you don't.
Was he the one who was like, I'm gonna paleo the fuck out of this bitch?
Dude,
It's
that's
like,
pretty much what he was. He was just like, we're gonna take it back to prehistoric
and that
times.
shit pisses me off because there's so much proof that is incredibly a lot. The paleo thing.
Oh,
like,
well,
that's not the food that.
That's not the
those
food
peop-
they ate.
That's not the
Absolutely
food they ate at all.
No.
Is it healthy? I don't know. Probably.
But like by the end of the series, you find yourself making fun of this guy because like, and like I said, he's a great chef. He's actually very brilliant. He has studied for years to understand the history of this stuff. But
you'd have to study to know that
Right.
that level of the history of
But
food.
like they get to this one challenge, and they're like, you have to make an egg, and me and Aaron are in the kitchen cooking, and it was like, what is she gonna be? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna be like, you know what we're gonna do?
I just went ahead and fried an egg.
We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bust out a what was it, a stingray? Because if you've ever asked yourself which came first, the chicken or the egg, historically speaking, the stingray came first, and that's where the chicken. And like he's just gonna bust this shit out, and we're just like making fun of this dude who is
I was
artist.
thinking he would immediately go for like a pterodactyl egg. He's like, I got to Jurassic Park some shit real quick.
All right, let's.
Because everybody had seen 10,000 BC, which if you haven't seen 10,000 BC, you're doing something fucking wrong with your life. No, so it was million years BC. That was the 10,000 BC is the new one that's not funny.
Oh, okay.
Yes, watch a million years BC. Or don't. Just don't.
Just don't.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I was always a fan of Encino Man.
I do love
works.
Encino Man. I just love Pauly Shore.
Vintage Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore is so good.
With Brendan Fraser when he was a fucking hunk too.
Which that character, the caveman, is in multiple movies.
Oh yeah.
Like going on like for years afterwards, with Brendan Fraser showing up as the caveman in other things. I'm surprised somewhere in fucking Lord of the Rings, Brendan Fraser isn't walking around as the fucking caveman. Like maybe we just haven't found him yet because he would have been like, yeah, we're just gonna do this because my friend was also an Encino Man, and we're just gonna do this because fuck you.
Right.
It's the same thing they do with fucking the Mummy stuff. Brendan Fraser shows up in like everything that he just wants to kind of do.
Yeah, that's true.
Or his friends are in. He's like, I'll just do what my friends are doing.
Yeah, he can get away with it.
I mean, he's not really doing much of fuck all else.
It takes a minute.
But whatever. Give it here. All right, we'll start at the top.
Yeah,
Or,
just you'll get there. It's really fucking good.
So good.
that's so good. Oh god damn.
I think you just killed Tony.
Yeah, he's
You
done
can
now.
hear it. You can totally.
Yes, you can.
You
Fucking
can.
Mike Tyson.
You can absolutely hear it.
All right,
Oh.
let's do this.
Yeah. Okay. Level 1 comic book news.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. Now, a lot of you out there are watching the show Riverdale. A lot of you are loving the show Riverdale.
Hell yeah.
I would watch it if they would air more than one episode every 3 weeks.
Right?
This shit's driving me crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why like they put it in that spot, knowing that they could keep all the superhero shows going and then just like halt Riverdale every once in a
Yeah,
while.
it was kind of
I
weird.
need to know what the fuck is going on with some griffins and gargoyles.
Agreed.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, actually, because while the show itself is going to be talking about the whole Griffins and Gargoyle plot line that's going on right now, actually the writers behind the scenes have a lot more stories to tell kind of within that plot line that they can't quite fit into the show itself because, I mean, you obviously only have so many episodes, and you're trying to work with
they're
what you
doing
got.
a lot of history in this. Like this
Right.
season, they're exploring a lot of the backstory of like their parents and their
Right.
history, and you're not going to be able to put all of that in the show
Yeah,
and keep the plot moving.
Exactly. So what they're going to be doing is Archie Comics is actually working on a series that's going to be taking place in conjunction with season 3. It's going to be about the whole Griffins and Gargoyles plot line. You will not be required to read the comic for it to help out with the show at all. It's not. It's just if you want
It's
to
just an accessory.
Yeah, if you want to,
it highlights the rest of it. you know?
right.
And I've seen just on our jaunts over to Dragon's Lair some like Riverdale comics that use like what looks like art, but it's like just like art like painted over like photos of the actual actors, and like then they like draw them in later. But it's all very like the front cover is just like, here's a picture of the cast, and it says Riverdale on top. But it's a whole story, but it's a side story.
And that's something that Archie Comics has been playing with for a while. They've been wanting to make companion pieces to go with Riverdale so that like during the down seasons, you could be like, that was a really cool season. Like I want to read some more about like what happened with the other characters. And they write that all in so that it's an expanded universe thing, but it's not an overwhelming thing. You don't have to watch 50 other shows or read 50 comics. There's literally a Riverdale show, a Riverdale comic. Just go ahead and pick it up and check it out.
I can dig it.
And that comic's not even going to be coming out until about March. So, I mean, you've got time to, watch most of Riverdale. They'll probably be moving on to a different
At that
plot.
point, they'll be like March, and
We'll be
we
on
might
season
be
4, I
have
think.
and we might have 4 episodes out by then.
we might.
Well, the other 2 seasons are on Netflix, if I remember right. So
Yes,
you can get
it's,
through
it's,
with them.
it's a CW show, so they have the 1 week after the last episode airs, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
The rule, and that is awesome. I still
great
love.
rule.
I remember whenever we talked about it when it first came out, I was like, "Fuck yes." This is game changing for a lot of people who like to binge shows on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because so many people I knew were way behind. They were always
Yeah.
a season behind on whatever was going on. And now you're like, no, you're caught up in the springtime, or you have the summer to catch up on your shows.
Exactly. So we are in the age of superheroes right now. Obviously, Marvel movies are doing great at the box office. Comic books are getting a big revival. But sometimes we forget our roots. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Specifically that in 2019, it's going to be Zorro's 100th anniversary.
God damn.
Mexican Batman.
And it's a really huge deal because I mean he is a very legendary figure.
Batman is white people's Zorro.
Yeah,
There you
he
go.
actually is. That is the
Batman,
correct.
you mean White Zorro?
Yeah, that pretty much is the correct wording for it. I
love
mean,
it.
that is what I believe the original movie was. It that Bruce Wayne went to go see? I can't remember.
Yes,
It was
The
a
Mask of
Zorro
Zorro.
movie, Mask of Zorro. So with that in mind, what they're going to be doing is there is going to be a huge 100th anniversary Zorro comic that will be coming out. Interesting. And the cool thing about this is that this isn't just going to be like random stories about it. Like I think earlier this year, a company called American Mythology released a book called Zorro: Swords of Hell, and it was basically a bunch of like stories that like had like supernatural elements. Like he literally fought like a demonic horseman and stuff like that. So they're going to be going into the new comic. I believe it's called Zorro Sacrilege. And they're actually getting a bunch of people from the comics industry, but actually they've got some like horror comic veterans to come in. And they want to make a Zorro comic that will appeal to a new generation, essentially.
Nice. It's hard to do.
It's like 100 years of Zorro. How do we move past the cliches of the original Zorro and move into a new direction?
How do you make Robin Hood in like colonially occupied Mexico interesting to like kids?
Honestly, so we actually have a new updated version of Robin Hood that they're trying that.
Oh yeah.
That's coming out.
I've heard it's a little rough.
Very mixed things, and
Yeah.
by mixed I mean.
but I was saying like they're trying it with that. Honestly, Zorro is something that I wish would get something like the Mayans done behind
So,
a TV
here's a-
show, something that could modernize
Here's
the
a
story of
quote
Zorro.
from the people working on this. It's going to be darker and more ancient than something darker and more ancient than Christianity is preying upon the people of the town.
All right.
If you're a fan of Dario Argentino's films, the movie
Yes.
Wreck or Quarantine, or were creeped out by John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, then you're going to love Zorro Sacrilege.
Okay, it just sounds like it's fun.
Yeah,
It's
it
something
sounds,
fun
it
to
sounds
me.
like I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
there's
mean,
been some good, like over the past 10, 20 years, I randomly picked up Zorro.
Oh, okay.
And there's been some good Zorro runs. They have been, and they're it's just it's always kind of like a go-to. Like we always say we have a go-to comic. Zorro isn't mine, but it is there. It is something that's constantly being put out, and at a very consistently good basis. It's never amazing. It's never the worst. It's always just good.
So yeah, February 2019, 100 years of Zorro. He's going down a horror route, and this sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome, I think.
I think I might have to watch like every single Zorro movie.
just binge all of
There
them.
are a lot.
There are a lot of them.
The silent ones might be a little challenging.
They're hard to find.
Yeah, but the Antonio Banderas ones were great.
There you go.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
So a lot of times on the show, I talk about up-and-coming comics. I actually feel kind of bad because I should have talked about this comic a week ago because it just came out, but I just learned about it. And so I kind of wanted to share it with our audience because now would be a good time to maybe go down to your local comic book shop and check this comic book out. It is a Vertigo title. It is called American Carnage. And it's a very fascinating book that I really feel only can exist, could only really be published by a brand like Vertigo. Because Vertigo, Image maybe. I would say Image and Vertigo maybe. The story of American Carnage is a story about a biracial man who goes undercover into a white supremacist group. And it is very much about the politics that are kind of going on in our current world, what it is, like to be a biracial person in the American climate that we're in. I do want to preface this. The writer behind American Carnage said, like, do not think there's going to be a Trump character, a Trump-like character.
Right.
He said, frankly, Trump is not interesting enough for me to want to put in my book. He said the story of the racism that we have going on in the world right now is so much deeper than this
The cartoon character.
The cartoon character at the top. That's what I want to get into. And so
We're not a political podcast.
Yeah,
both of y'all started going there for once, and now
I was just quoting what the writers were saying.
Yeah.
Now, another big fascinating part of this is isn't just some writer that has experience of being biracial in America. It isn't just like one of these things that you pick and say, this is what the reason he wrote about it. He actually himself went out and started speaking to people in white supremacist groups to understand their mentality and why they think and act the way they do, so that he could actually represent them the way when he goes to write them in this book.
Interesting.
He isn't trying to make them a parody of who they are.
Right.
Like if he's going to because the character's an FBI agent and he's going and infiltrating these white supremacist groups.
Right.
He wants to make sure that when he's writing about these people, he's not writing some kind of, parody of what these people are.
Yeah. You don't want to caricaturize them, or because if you just hit them with stereotypes and only write about that, you never, you don't reach anyone that way.
Right. I think this is a very obviously important book to be coming out right now.
Yeah.
And again, it's a Vertigo title, so they're going to have a little bit of leeway with the kind of content and what they can show. And it actually came out on the 19th. So you can go down to your local comic book shop, pick it up right now. I encourage people, if you are okay with getting into a dark subject matter, go down and pick this up because it sounds like it's going to be a very fascinating read. And I'm really curious. I'm going to probably pick it up tomorrow when we go to the comic book shop just to check it out.
I'm just my immediate thought was it came out on the 19th, which is just before Thanksgiving, and so many comic book nerds got to pick this up and buy it and go to their family Thanksgiving and read that and go, wow, my racist Uncle Jimmy is in this comic book.
That's probably
I just
true.
hope there was so many shit starters at Thanksgiving this year, and someone just bought that and slammed it down on the table like, let's discuss. Pass me the fucking turkey.
So yes, the book is called American Carnage. It is done by Vertigo. Go down to your local comic book shop and pick it up and support it, please. All right, that's everything that we have for comic book news this week. We're going to take a small break. When we come back, we'll be going into level 2 video game news.
We're way under time on that one.
Cool.
That was less than 10
It's
minutes.
fine. These are all going to be really... Dude,
Yeah.
it was a week, news week, so...
Yeah,
end of
and
the
our
year.
prologue was
Oh,
long,
that's-
and our epilogue
and
will be long.
our epilogue's going to be long, so...
Yeah.
That was something that I was going to bring up with y'all, and then since I just remembered, I'm going to do it now, since I'm drinking a beer anyway.
Okay.
We haven't done our time off in a while,
Right.
and I was wondering if we were wanting to do that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so
'Cause
I was going to...
We're in that downtime where the end of the
Right.
year, beginning of the year, there's fuck all to really talk
Right,
about.
so
Yeah, that's fine.
the way that I have it planned out right now is that we're going to at least do one show towards the end of the month, which will be our year-end review that we usually do, and then the week after that we're taking off.
Okay.
We normally do the year in review and then the year looking forward.
Right, but I think that we can skip a week in there because it'll be New Year's.
Yeah.
People be fucking off. There won't be a lot of news, and then we can come back, start fresh, and do that. So that'll be our week off.
No, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone. The 10th, I think, is a Monday, but I'm gonna be gone all that week. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just figured that we've historically every so often taken 3 or 4 weeks off.
Oh, okay.
Just
slow, like in December. What kind of news really is there? Except for I saw this movie and it was good.
And it hasn't been always in December. Sometimes it's been in the middle of the year or whatever. We've done it a couple.
We'll split them up and
That's
have
fair.
a few weeks off here and there.
Yeah,
it's normally around our anniversary time. We're and we've got episode this coming up, so we're just not gonna do this for a week. No, because I love doing this. But I also hate doing this, and I also just kind of want a week
Sometimes
to
it's nice
just
to have a
not
break.
do anything. Just a recharge week.
Yeah, no, beginning of the year we're gonna recharge.
Yeah,
sounds
I figured
fine.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
In fact,
In December and January,
we
were the
might just
perfect
take 2
time.
weeks off.
That's fine. I mean, especially in January,
The
there's
first
nothing
2
going
weeks,
on.
first 2 weeks of the year we'll just take that off. So we'll do our year-end review, and then the first 2 weeks of January we'll just take off, and that'll basically get you through the 10th, and then when you come back after the 10th, we'll kick back off.
Yeah. So, I was telling you. So next week we have our class on Friday, and the night before is the Game Awards. I don't know if you wanted to check that out.
I mean, I'd be
whole
down
thing for that.
Be down to watch it.
Just because it's gonna be. It is news, and we all watch the industry close enough that we have opinions.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if we want to have us over at your place or something for the Game Awards, it'd be cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
PC Building Simulator does not win every fucking award.
Best narrative, PC Building Simulator.
So yeah, don't feel bad if these news sections run a little bit thin. The ending is probably going to hold its weight in terms of...
that's the reason why whenever I got this, okay, we spent 10 minutes on the comic book section. We are at the fucking end of the year. We need to take, every other week off for, a month.
Yeah, no, we're getting to the end, and I'll schedule... Like I said, the first 2 weeks of January, we'll just take off, and we'll come back after that.
Right on.
If we run thin next week, then I'll know that it's slowing down. But I know that this specifically was because of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I'll just keep an eye on the news and I'll feel it out from there.
Cool.
Yeah, we just need to kind of let everybody know.
Yeah, I'll know.
You ever try to pronounce the word that's on top of these?
No.
It's not a word, but you could try to pronounce it. Oh god, that makes my head hurt trying to think about it.
All right, let's jump in.
All the places you can recycle this for 5 cents. Or you get a fucking migraine trying to think about the word.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny to me. It's fuck you. I need to move some shit, you fucking bitch. It's 2 brothers. And they both have motorcycles, and now one of them shot a cop, and the other one shot a cop too. Level 2, video game news.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. I actually, when we started this podcast, I never thought that I would ever be able to actually utter these words. But it was announced this week from Nomura that Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally done.
Oh, see, I was thinking that this was actually what's that space fighting game?
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen actually has a release date.
No, Star Citizen is never coming
You got
out.
another 12 years on that one.
But yes, 5 years and an entire console generation has passed, and we are finally getting Kingdom Hearts 3.
God damn, yeah.
No, 2 console generations have passed. Kingdom Hearts 1 came out on the PlayStation 2.
And Kingdom Hearts 2 came out on the PlayStation 2.
2 console generations.
Well, it was 5 years.
Because we are at the
Was the
end
PlayStation
of the
3.
PlayStation 4's life.
No, I think it was the PlayStation
Okay,
3.
well,
that
the actual
Kingdom Hearts 2 came
development
out on.
Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
It's been so long.
Right, but you're thinking about the history of Kingdom Hearts. The development of Kingdom Hearts 3 has actually only been about 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So when you're thinking about those interim periods for Kingdom Hearts, you're thinking about the 3DS games, the PSP games. All those things were being created and released during that time, but it's been basically a console generation's worth of time that they've actually been making Kingdom Hearts 3.
That makes sense.
Yeah, which is it's funny because the PlayStation
It was probably
4
done
and
like
the
3
Xbox
years
One
ago.
are totally about to be done. They're at the end of life.
I'm saying it was probably done like 3 years ago, but this is how long it's been for them to like discuss the rights that they have to Disney characters.
Well,
with
they've
the
also
lawyers.
added so many new worlds.
Oh, yeah.
and
Think
I
about
mean,
every time we talked on this show about Disney bought this.
right.
Fucking Square Enix is over there going like, motherfucker, we have to redo this
Like,
again.
you know
Do I have
that-
to put fucking Iron Man in this now? Jesus
Right,
Christ!
I mean, there had to be like an internal debate at some point. Like, do we stick Star Wars in this? Like, how far does
Can
Kingdom
we get
Hearts
some
go?
Obi-Wan Kenobi in here? Can we buy
mean-
Lego Disney? Will you buy Lego? We'll get some Lego Star Wars in this bitch. That'll be fun.
So, I mean, it's really cool, though. They are going to be making their target date of, I believe it's January 29th. Is going to be the release date. That's what they were trying to go for, and they are going to be pulling it off. I'm excited. I'm not trying to get overhyped for it, but I mean, to be honest, I love Kingdom Hearts. So
all right, so
I genuinely hope it's really good. Will
Yeah,
I
me
play
too.
it day one? Lord, no.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. So as a person, I'm 100% in both 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
And I refuse to play the DS games or the handheld games because they're not part of the universe. I don't give a fuck about those.
except they are completely part of the
They're
universe.
stupid fucking little silly card games. I don't fucking care about those.
That is literally not what any of them are.
They also are in handhelds and it's fucking take
just don't like
way
Now
too
we're
long to
now
load.
see this is like a therapy session. You have to like tell Tony that that's not the problem until
Until he gets to the
until
real
he
problem.
actually what the problem is.
He has the same problem that I had with Monster Hunter for so many
And that's
years.
fine.
I hate the way handhelds feel in
Sure,
my hands.
and that's fine. But we had to break down
had to
that
dive
wall.
through it.
You know, he was blaming everything but what the problem was. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it was on handheld. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now that's the issue.
Yeah, and
that
if
is
it's
the
on
actual
handheld,
issue.
the loading times fucking suck.
Right,
I don't
except for
like
the fact
hold-
there's a compilation now where you can play those on a console.
That's great, except for it only came out on Sony, and I refuse to play any game on Sony.
See, there's the fanboy.
Too bad you missed all of the great games this console generation.
Right?
I don't fucking
Literally
care.
all the good
He's
ones.
just gonna cry in the corner and play
You know what
Destiny.
the
and
best game of Xbox Reward went to for Forza 4 Horizon? That's the best game that came out on Xbox so far.
It is a very good game.
that you don't play.
That
Yeah, I
nobody
don't like
plays.
I also don't like racing games.
Right? Like,
but it's a racing game.
No, if you like racing games, that's your fucking mountaintop right
Oh,
there.
it is,
That is the
absolutely.
fucking best goddamn racing game to come out ever.
If you're a guy
Gran
who gets-
Turismo's over there being like, we can't do that, and
Yeah.
because they can't. Whenever they had showed off Forza 4
It's-
and Gran Turismo with the same E3, you watched one go, holy fuck, that looks amazing. Then one going, wow, you made another Gran Turismo?
But you're not talking about racing games. You're talking about a racing sim, because a game that's far more popular, far more popular, is called Mario Kart, and that's a racing game.
That is also
That is true.
Yes, racing sims and racing games are two different things.
Right.
But all right,
At
Kingdom
the
Hearts
core-
3
Yes,
is
Kingdom
coming
Hearts 3.
out. I'm waiting on reviews on this. Like
Okay, yeah,
unless
for real.
unless we're sent a review copy, which never
No, that's not
never
gonna
gonna happen. Or somebody buys
I will
us a
call
fucking-
Nomura tomorrow, and we will just talk about.
We'll get on the
this.
phone. I'll give him the
We'll-
old mushy mushy.
We'll have lunch. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Cool.
All right. So
but yeah, I don't want to play this. I said this before. I don't want to play Kingdom Hearts 3. I feel that it's been so fucking. I'm so removed from the franchise that it didn't make it available for people to play the continued storyline outside of that, because it's coming out on everything. Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out on everything.
Yeah.
But there's only one place you can play the previous content at this generation.
Right.
They said Sony's the only one that gets the Kingdom Hearts 1, 2.5,
They
whatever the
still
fuck.
have the rights to all
Right,
that stuff.
but
you know?
And it's
Is
like, why
that
the fuck
a-
did they release it on everybody else so everybody could catch up? They're literally losing money by
Right, but
doing
is
this.
that but we do not know the details of this. They may have
probably a legal
an
thing.
actual because 1 and 2
Right.
came out on the PlayStation.
Yeah, if
they
Sony
may be
helped-
locked into a contract they can't get out of.
If Sony helped develop that content at all, they probably were like, "This is ours forever. Sign here."
Right.
Yeah, I would
See,
I mean, I don't want to blame Sony, but it's probably
I would
Sony.
think that Square Enix would be smart enough to not do that, but this is also old Square Enix.
I was gonna
and
say,
they
it's
were
Square Enix.
totally dumb enough to do that.
This was a long time ago.
were-
Like,
so-
new Square Enix is like, oh, fuck you. You think you can control us. We make games, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And they can do it whatever the fuck they want. And again, going back to way back in the day on the podcast, whenever the kind of changing in the guard happened with Square Enix, I was like, we'll see what fucking happens. Because I did not believe anything good could happen because I was on the giant hate of Square Enix train. And they have fucking turned their shit around.
Oh, yeah.
They've made games that I actually want to play and have played and enjoyed.
Yeah.
Okay, mostly out of Eidos, but they have made
But
games
it's a part of
that
the
I
company.
enjoy.
But the thing is they support that division. They allow that division to flourish.
Yeah, they didn't just say no. You only make our games. You have to do things
Yeah.
our way.
Right.
Whenever they came out with Life is Strange, it's like, holy fuck! Like this is technically a Square Enix game,
Right.
But this is so not a normal Square Enix
because
game.
they let the studio do what they did best. They said, "We're just funding you at this point.
Yeah.
Just come to us for approval."
I mean,
Yeah,
we
and
can
that's
also
what I
talk
love.
about
That's also why I'm afraid of Kingdom Hearts 3 because this is an older title that is locked into the old way of doing things. I get it. Yes, they've changed at Square Enix, but
I don't
I mean,
know.
5 years of development seems like forever, but that's how long God of War was in
yeah,
development.
no, that's the average time for
And look,
a lot of
an
AAA
enormous
for
game.
Look, all I'm
enormous
saying is that
AAA
if
games,
the
5
combat
years.
system is anything like Final Fantasy 15, I'm bored. Like
Yeah.
that combat system is really good.
Well,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15's combat system came out of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2,
Right.
so
Totally
it better be
but it's the
same fucking way.
it's the refined version of that.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, no, if I get stopped in a fucking mid-combat sequence to
Look, all I'm
do
telling
a fucking magic spell, my screen has characters just doing one motion over and over and over again. We have one fucking rule on this show. One
Oh,
rule.
man. It's probably a spam caller, too.
Probably is.
I've been getting so many spam calls. Okay, we apologize. It's been a long time since somebody's got a phone call. We got a text message on the show.
Yeah.
But an actual phone call. Because who the fuck calls somebody?
I know.
Yeah, nobody. I have to send text to people before I call them to make sure they don't screen me.
It's
So-
like, hey, I'm going to call you in a second. This is my actual number.
Going
Right.
back to Kingdom Hearts, all I've been to put this whole thing to rest.
Right.
If you show me a video where Donald actually heals you,
Oh my god.
I will
never
buy
gonna
this
happen.
day
the game.
one.
Yeah.
Day one, I will
Yeah.
buy it.
Buy-
You've
No.
got to prove to me that Donald can heal you.
Bought and played.
Nope.
Fucking dumb.
Never
All
gonna
right.
happen. I want to make a supercut. I actually do. I think I will play this on PlayStation if I can get the episodes 1.5 and 2.5, the collecting disc of all the games, so I can make a supercut of every fucking time Goofy says Sora.
Sora.
Sora. It's like I just want to record like 900 hours of like this is actual gameplay. Every fucking I sat down, I played every game and recorded every time.
I'm
he
pretty
says
sure this already exists on the internet.
You could put it up on
This is
YouTube like
probably-
those old, like Tyrion slapping Joffrey for 45 minutes.
This is probably somebody's fetish. All right, let's
Yeah.
move on from there
Sora.
and give my voice a rest. Tony's going to bring the next news to the table. He's got some Destiny stuff that he's going to talk about.
Oh, I need to find my phone. Hold on, I gotta. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Destiny because Bungie released a gameplay calendar and update for what the content of Destiny 2 is going forward for the kind of the next 9 months to almost to a year. We've got all the way until August, so I guess however long until August is.
Yeah.
That is important because right now, as of today, when we're recording this show live on twitch.tv/asilynerd on a Tuesday, not on a Monday, because James got sick, the new update came out, and it is called the Season of the Forge. The Black Armory updates is
Right.
what it is. If you paid for it, it's $35. You get 3 mini DLCs throughout this time, and I'm going to
So it's like $10 a DLC, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not bad.
No,
it's really not bad, and
not bad
there's
at all.
much smaller DLCs. Ah, shit! I clicked the wrong. I need the image link. Thank you, phone. So I'm just pulling up what you get for these because there's free things. I want to go over some of the free things first, and then there's gonna be the paid things, which that's the reason why you're doing the $35.
Are they
right?
free,
Right.
but you still have to buy the expansion? Or
If
does
you
everybody
buy
get them?
the base game of Destiny, or picked it up on PC for free, or on PlayStation when they have it for free, or
Okay.
we're not sure why they haven't given it for Xbox for free at this point.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. No one's buying the base game. You get so the Dawning is their winter event that's coming up. Power level increase for everybody. New lore and triumphs for everybody. New rank rewards. Iron Banner continues and evolves. New vanity rewards, which they do all the fucking time anyways. That's their real money store. That's where they
Right.
want you to spend money on. But if you play enough, you get all that shit for free anyway. And that's for December through February. Then March through May is called Season of the Drifter. And we get you do have to have the expansion to play some of this stuff because it's new Gambit matches, and Gambit is only available for free weekends whenever they put that out, or you have to have Forsaken. You have new vanity rewards, of course, power increase, of course, new triumphs and lore, a spring event that is unknown at this time, an exotic quest, which is cool because if you buy a base game, like, you don't generally get like high level shit or high, like quest lines after you're finished, right? Again, more Iron Banner. This season of the blank, which we've through leaks know is called Penumbra. You get another exotic quest, and again, Solstice of the Heroes, which is a year later from the last time it happened, and that was a giant fucking pain in the ass to do. It was power struggle just the entire time. More vanity rewards, new rank rewards, more Iron Banner stuff, more lore, more power increases, and that's just given to everybody. That is the default free seasonal updates that everybody gets. If you pay the $35, though, starting with Season of the Forge right now, you get the new weapons for the Black Armory, a new exotic quest, a new raid, not a raid lair like they had done during the previous DLCs of Destiny. So, like when you bought,
but it's a full new raid.
It's
not
a full
just
new
another
raid.
room.
Yeah,
in the
no,
giant
and
thing.
from what they've said, because the raid layers they're intensive, but they're pretty quick. They're a little bit more intensive than doing a strike.
Yeah.
They said that this raid isn't going to be on level of the newest raid, which is the Riven raid. That this is going to be smaller in size, but still not as small as a raid layer. So it is larger than what we've actually gotten for all the other previous DLCs in Destiny. You have more lore that is outside of the other lore. A Black Armory Forges, which is a new activity thing to do. And we've got 4 of those to do, so that's interesting. Then Season of the Drifter, what they'll give us, because all the further it goes down in time, the less information they want to give us, because they want to keep something secret. We're getting new Gambit bounties and weapons, another exotic quest, a different Gambit experience on top of the other Gambit changes they're making, a weekly quest for Gambit, which is interesting. A thing called Xur bounties, which we don't know much about, but based on what we can guess,
it's Xur giving you bounties.
Xur showing up and giving us go do a thing and get an exotic that you wouldn't have had before.
Right.
So that's what we've been asking for quite a while. We were like, why the fuck does this dude even show up? He's just giving us old stuff that we already have. He's literally fucking pointless. Then we have the Season of the Penumbra, the unknown one. Unfortunately, all that one really says is new weapons and gear, new raid again.
Okay.
So that's within those 8-9 months. That's 2 full raids.
At least they're designing more dungeons. That's nice of them.
The other cool thing is they said a new 6-player match-made activity. They have 0 information giving us that.
6-player battle royale.
They said that much like 343 did with Halo, we are not doing battle royale. That shit's stupid. It will literally be gone in like a year. No one will care. And the other things are just listed as redacted because that was the one that they want to leave us the least amount of information on. It's so far out in time that there's like 5 blocks that just say they're not going to tell us what these are at this point. So as of right now, it is live, but not live. And I want to kind of explain that. Bungie does this weird thing where they do a patch update, and then a week later, all the new activities, new things unlock. Right now, for this week, you can start accessing the new vanity items, but most of the new changes haven't gone into place yet. The new patches with the weapons and armor acting differently, those are in place, but all the new fun stuff to go out and do isn't there. So it's kind of like I call it a vacation week.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's every so often, every couple of months, you get a week where you're just like, I really actually don't have to play because unless
it's not a bad thing though.
Yeah.
It gives people a
now
chance
the
to
game
catch
is
up.
your job.
Right. It gives people a chance to catch up, and then people who are already at that tier are gonna be like, oh, you know what? I'll just go play some Overwatch for a minute.
look at Overwatch does the same thing. Overwatch doesn't season end meeting another season begin.
They give you
have
a
you have downtime, and
they used to give you a month, but they realized that was far too long.
Yeah.
But a week is it feels like a good buffer.
A week is good
to say, hey, if you want to play, you can test out the new updates we did right now. But really, this stuff actually activates in a week. What they've given us with this information, showing off, they put out a new Vidoc. That's their video documentary. They just squished those 2 words together and called it that thing. They put out a new one of those, and it looks really cool because it shows not just what's happening in this season, but some of the changes towards the future, and explaining what the vision is for Destiny 2 going forward.
Okay.
And that vision isn't what we'd had in the past. Most of the dialogue of the people speaking this is saying, we learned from Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 what people want. We gave you that in Forsaken, and all the reviews and all the feedback they've gotten is saying is highly positive. Not positive in the economic sense, though, because
No.
Activision stated that they didn't make enough money.
Correct.
I'm still pissed about this because Forsaken sold more copies than Spider-Man, but for some reason that's a loss. That the Spider-Man...
Well, that's just Activision being super greedy. If every game that comes out isn't Call of Duty, they're pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and the thing is,
Okay.
they didn't bring in new users, but it brought back so many of the old players to say, fuck you, this game is good. And now that they're releasing this continuation, this... because they're doing a winter event with the Dawning, and then in the around February 14th, they do a thing, doing a Crimson Doubles event. They're doing all these events in the meantime, every seasonal section for at least for a few weeks, for just to draw people in just to play and for fun. Or if people that are very casual in it, they can come back for those events. But the rest of people are like, no, there is something new and adventurous to play every fucking week. There are more high-end in-game activities than there ever have been before. And those in-game activities are not easy.
Yeah.
They're not just handing them to you like they had whenever Destiny 2 first came out. They're dropping the casual audience. They say, we don't want the casual audience anymore because you just buy the game and fuck off and leave us alone and give us bad ratings. We want the hardcore audience because the hardcore audience sticks with us and tells us when we fuck up and makes sure we're held accountable.
Right.
At
Okay.
least that's the way
I mean,
opinion
it sounds
on
like
it.
there's a really good future for Destiny. At the end of this whole thing, do you think that Destiny is going to go the direction of doing another big expansion that you're paying, $40, $50 for, or do you see them just revving up for Destiny 3 at this point?
So that's the debate right now. All right, so both
It's all over Reddit right
it's,
now.
it's all over Reddit. It's all over Bungie.net. It's because nobody knows what the answer is going to be because we
Right.
don't know when the next console cycle is going to happen.
Right.
I'm sure Bungie doesn't know.
I feel like
I mean, we're
I
all
feel like
pretty sure
it-
2020 is when it's happening.
I feel like the
Bungie definitely
natural
does know.
answer here is expect at least one more big expansion.
I think so.
In 2019?
We do know that right now the based on information that has been not been officially released but has leaked out, has been said by people's job titles changing,
Right.
that Destiny 3 is in a full-on we are making this right now.
Sure.
They're actively developing the game. That doesn't mean necessarily they're working on graphics or gameplay. They're working on story. They're working on
there's
ideas.
a lot you can do.
They're doing the planning for Destiny 3 right now. So that means the game is at least 3 years off.
Right.
Is what most people would guess. That leads us into the new console life 2020 area for when it would be released. Meaning they are going to have to give us another what is called a Comet expansion within Bungie. Comet is something like Forsaken. It's a
It's the
weird
big, huge one.
It's a fundamental change to the way you play and the way the
Right,
game
right,
is understood.
Funny enough, Final Fantasy XI did this way back in the day. They realized that the expansion model isn't something that can really engage people over a long period of time because people
Right.
would buy a big expansion, fall off. And WoW has it. Every big MMO
Yeah.
Yeah, I
has
don't
it.
understand why World of Warcraft hasn't figured this out.
So yeah, Final Fantasy XI actually back in the day would do a big expansion, and they had like these little mini expansions you'd pay $15, $20 for, and then that would kind of just get you through and keep
trickles.
everybody keep everybody engaged, and then boom, $50, $60 expansion, new classes, new area, all of that. And I could see them going down that road to try and keep people engaged in Destiny, still keep money coming
Yeah.
in, but make people still feel like they're getting value for their dollar while playing Destiny.
and based
2.
on all the things I said that are coming out in this isn't going into like in particular weapons or actual quest lines and how long, which time they're going to take.
Right.
But for $35, I feel. I mean, I haven't got to play this yet, but I feel that this is kind of worth it.
Three mini expansions. I mean, if you're going to tell me like
Three
$10,
mini-
that's the price of an old DLC back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's not a big deal.
And then having to pay 40 right now, I think for Forsaken it was $40 for that, and then 35 for the expansion. Paying $40 for a true groundbreaking expansion once a year, and then $35 for the here's the rest of the year just to keep everything going and moving because. At this point, it's not like playing Overwatch where you're like, cool, you give me maps for free and new characters for free because there's a
I own the
limited
game.
because there's a limited number of space. There's not a story involved really. There's the go watch the YouTube videos, I guess, but there's not an extensive world. There's no player versus environment aspect to that game.
Right.
So I don't feel that it deserves to have that. So yeah, getting it for free makes sense for that. But something like this, you're like, no, my world is constantly changing. And that is something that they did state in the Vidoc, that they said Destiny should feel like a world that is constantly evolving and changing. Which is what everybody initially thought and wanted. Whenever they said Destiny 2 is coming out, we're like,
Yeah.
so you're giving us Destiny 1 plus all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting to where Bungie realizes that's what people want, and that's what we're getting.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I do.
I wish everybody had grabbed it for free while it was available. It's no longer available for free on PC. Other than that, it's still pretty cheap to get into it right now. If you want to play Destiny, now's a good time. That's what I'm saying. Now's
Good
a
to
good
know
time.
that. All right, our last little bit of video game news is going to be a brief one this week, especially because I know this topic is going to bore the shit out of most of you.
They weren't already bored the fuck from my
But-
Destiny talk.
They were.
But I am a fan of the Civilization series.
Hell yeah, Civilization.
Big Civ fan. And one of the things I love about Civ is that when the main game always remains true to the past games. They don't. It updates the graphics. It adds some new things, some improvements that need to be made. But usually those improvements actually come from the expansions of previous games.
Right.
Right. That's where they test new things and experiment with stuff.
I've always felt like
And they
Civilization was like the board game of video games.
It
It's
really
like,
is.
you know, every time they, you know, you got God of War 2, God of War 3, so on and so forth with every franchise. Made big changes to everything. They changed in
Whole new
some cases-
storylines and everything.
In some cases,
yeah.
entirely who you are, Metal Gear Solid. But with a game like Civilization, it's like, well, this is a board game. Did you add something to the board game? Yeah, we added a ton of stuff just to make the game play better. It's the same game.
Yeah.
Same systems.
Exactly.
But,
yeah,
you know,
they
it's
tweak
prettier
it,
now.
They make it better. They make it more accessible for people. But Civilization is going to be getting an expansion on February 14th. It's called The Gathering Storm. One of the things in Civ that obviously isn't there because the rules have to be very solidly in place when you're playing a war game like this is that you know, any kind of geological or meteorological like challenges that could crop up, like volcanoes and tornadoes,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Trying to attack Russia in the winter.
Right, that kind of stuff.
Not quite there, but hurricanes, yeah.
Right, that kind of stuff can't really exist in a normal game of Civ,
Right.
Because that's creating a random element in a strategy game, and where the board needs to be static. But they were going to
That's
be
something that works better in something like SimCity.
right in SimCity. There
Right.
you could predict for that, but they're going to be doing with the Gathering Storm is introducing all these cool elements to it, and testing it all out and seeing if people really like it or not.
That sounds
now,
cool.
So you're
keeping that
saying
in
is
mind,
wildfires are going to be happening in Civ,
get this,
and
though.
they'll be uncontrollable.
Of course, Civ always tries to take its roots in reality, or sometimes when it talks about future tech, it tries to base
Just
its
to guess
technology.
what's gonna happen, right?
Guess what's going to happen. One of the things that can happen in this expansion is that if you use consumable resources like coal and oil, you can use it to fuel power plants, but there will be an environmental cost.
Nice.
Well, first off,
That
global warming
actual-
is not real.
Well, that's true. It is not real because
how can you-
because in this game they call it fucking climate change. All right.
Also, how can you warm a globe when the Earth is flat?
Exactly.
So I think this is a really cool concept. I can't wait to jump in. I always want a reason to play more Civ.
Yeah.
But I just love the idea that the developers came out and said, "Yeah, so we're going to talk about climate change, and you're gonna pay us for the privilege, and you're gonna fucking love it." I'm like, "Yes, I fucking will. Let's do this."
I just personally believe they should only sell this digitally, though, because
Well,
if they're going to talk about climate change, let's make it where the least environmental impacting way
That is
possible.
true.
So this year, like, when did video games become the most woke medium? Like,
Apparently.
we had a video game earlier this year about murdering just thousands of Nazis, and now we get the climate change in our games. I love it.
This is fantastic. All right, that's everything that we have for video game news this week. We're going to take a small break. When we come back, we'll be going into level 3 entertainment news.
Part of me wants to go edit my Destiny talking to, like, having one you say, Tony didn't stop talking about Destiny for like 10 minutes. He edited it out. You're happy. You're welcome. It's not in here.
Here were his talking points.
Here was his 5 talking points. Play Destiny. Done.
I was actively not going to talk about Destiny this week. I was like,
Yeah, well-
I was like, it's not actually out. I haven't gotten to play any of this stuff. I don't know what's going on.
My voice was going out today, and I was like, I need to fill like 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm just gonna put that Destiny news in there.
There you go.
That was my opinion.
See, that was the thing, is like I haven't gotten to play any of it. Like I opened it up and
See, I thought that was the best part because all you could talk about was facts.
yeah, I give no opinion on if it's actually worth the $35 at this point.
Believe that.
Cool.
But based on all the information that we've seen, yeah, like
It does look cool.
you're getting 6 months, about 6 months, or actually 8. When's fucking August? The 9th, yeah, 9 months of almost 10 months of content for $35 on a consistently. We'll be updating you with more shit.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of shit in the game now that, I mean, certainly wasn't in there when the game came out.
No, like the shit going on right now. If you buy Forsaken, you've missed, because it is a weekly calendar. You've missed out on like 8 weeks of events that are all storyline driven. I get new dialogue every fucking week of going like, why? Like, it mostly it's just additional dialogue lines,
Right.
but it's the like, no, you are doing the same mission over and over again, but at least there's different dialogue, and there's a reason why. Eventually, this thing will lead to a culmination where it will end. It's the fact that this place is on a 3-week cycle and just keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. And because, yeah, there's a whole plot line if you really want to get into the lore behind it on why all this is happening. And
Right.
it's really cool and in depth. And they brought up a lot of really interesting lore from Destiny 1 stuff that, unless you're a lore nerd, you have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Yeah.
There's like Coria. Who the fuck knows who Coria is?
No, but
Coria-
someone who read the Grimoire knows who
Yeah,
Coria
I was
is.
like, well, I can tell you who Coria is. Coria was a Vex mind that ended up that Oryx took and then gave to Savathun, which is his sister, and said, "Here, study this." And now you have these parts of Savathun, and they're showing up in the story, and parts of Coria, and all these other characters. You're like, what the fuck are they doing? What is this war that we're not seeing? What is their plan that we're not seeing? Because we can see the people that are coming to us, we see their names, but we don't know what the fuck they're actually doing here.
Right.
And we've got pretty good ideas because we can put 2 and 2 together, but it's massively in depth. That's the reason why I always loved Halo. It's the reason why I love Destiny. Is the fucking lore. The story of it is so cool. The gameplay, the gunplay is amazing, but the story is where it's important. And they gave us a casual game for 2. And I remember my first review for Destiny 2 was for $60, the base story is worth it.
Yeah.
The
it was
gunplay
fine.
is great.
I think I put 40, 60 hours into it.
Yeah,
and
the
that was
PvP
fine.
is great. If you want to just shoot your friends or shoot random people in a PvP environment, none better than this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for those of us that were lore nerds and everything else, we're like, cool. Where the fuck's the rest of it?
Where's the rest of the game? I've been doing the same mission since I hit max level cap, which was like 15 hours into the game.
Yeah, it's like, I'm done.
I'm on hour 60 and I'm bored.
Yeah, no, it didn't give us a lot to do, and they've learned from that, and you can tell that from watching the Vidocs, especially the ones going in Forsaken, and now this one, you're like, no, we learned some shit. We got rid of the people that were in charge. We moved them to different positions so we can make the game that we're supposed to make.
Man, I would hope so.
No, the guy that was in charge of Destiny 2, that some people say that we're listing him as a scapegoat. I think he's the one that fucked it all up. Is not in charge of Destiny 3. He's kind of moved up in the company. He's the one that was a writer for Kotaku and then made the first raid in Destiny.
Right, he was promoted to fuck off.
Yeah, and now I think he's been promoted to, well, we can't fire you because that's going to look bad for the company, but you're no longer in charge of where this game is moving forward.
Sounds like what they need to do to Todd Howard. Shit.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the front man for Bethesda.
Oh, yeah, for...
The guy who talks mad shit on stage, and then it's just, that's not the game at all.
Well, all right, so before we get into that, I've read a little bit of review stuff for Fallout. It suffers from Destiny 1 syndrome. Here's this really cool idea. We don't know what we're doing because we've never done this before. And that's literally what they did. They're like, we played games that are like this, but or in Destiny's case, we played MMOs and no one's made anything like our idea.
Right.
And they should have learned from what Bungie did. They should be like, don't do these mistakes.
Well, sure, but I mean that's a very small part of a very large bowl of shit. That
Okay, see,
that
the thing is,
they
like,
fed.
we've got Anthem coming out, and Anthem's
I'm
they
pretty.
haven't
I'm pretty
said
hyped for
Bungie by
Anthem.
name, but they've actually like, we've watched our competitors.
Yeah.
We've watched what they have done right and done wrong.
Yeah.
We are taking the good and getting rid of the bad.
No, I'm pretty hyped for Anthem because I do watch their YouTube feed, so I do see what they're up to, and it looks like
It
they're
looks really good.
really listening to the community. Like they're in that Reddit thread like every fucking day. Just like
They have a weekly talking with Reddit where there's like, because they don't have their own forums, they just
Right.
go to Reddit and they're like, yeah, they have a weekly.
Why would you
Ask
build
Me.
your own forums when Reddit exists?
Well,
Someone's gonna make that for you.
In Bungie's case, Bungie.net existed way before
yeah.
Reddit.
Yeah, it's just Bungie.
So that's the reason where they're like, we're not getting rid of Bungie.net. And we're like,
No, let 'em
but
have it.
maybe we just... Actually, there's two different communities. There's the toxic Bungie.net community and Reddit that is not quite as
because it's
toxic.
moderated.
They're,
Bungie-
they're both moderated,
Yeah,
but
but
Bungie doesn't quite give a shit.
No, Bungie's not gonna pay someone like any kind of big money to moderate the forum. It's someone's third job after like probably
Reddit
recording.
nobody gets paid for it either.
No, but Reddit is made by volunteers because it makes all the money.
So this shouldn't be a really long section, so don't stress about trying to draw it out too much.
Cool.
Like I said, that last section that we're going to be doing is going to run a bit long, so...
Yeah, that's what we were trying to catch up just a little bit because I haven't been paying a lot of attention to
Yeah.
Fallout. 'cause
You will.
I was
definitely,
thinking about getting you for Christmas, but every review it's been just don't.
Yeah, just don't.
I really only want it if it has the power helmet. Like, that's...
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you
no,
got
I'm not getting that
220
for you.
If you have
Yeah.
$225 lying
Yeah,
around,
you're not getting
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, that's fine. Like, don't worry.
I mean,
about
I wanted to get us. It had to have been us the life size actual helmet shoulder piece things.
Yeah.
But that was $1,100 something dollars. It's
Yeah.
like,
Hey, you know
I
how
don't have that.
you're in a relationship and sometimes you buy a present for your partner, but it's really for you.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to you buying me a Stream Deck for Christmas.
I was thinking maybe that the show will get one of those. No, actually, before the show was starting today, I was thinking about it. I was like, all right, like I was thinking, it's like maybe we all three just buy that so I can just press a button.
Yeah.
Just like I click this and things happen.
Hi, welcome to the belated show that we're doing today.
What up,
Hi,
King James
we're-
Version Warhawk? I know that's not your name. I just I think it's hilarious.
All right, let's jump into some entertainment stuff.
Oh, you already changed. I even changed the name
Yeah,
already.
you were
Look at
good to
that.
go.
No.
Oh, I haven't saved it yet though.
Nope, you
Yeah,
should
well,
save
you
it.
should
Oh
definitely
God,
save
this
it.
beer is making me burpy.
Do you need another beer before we get started, by the way?
No, this section's gonna be short. That's
Yeah.
That's nearly a full beer. I just need to fucking save this. That's what Hector gets for talking to me too much.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
EP 287.
I'm surprised you didn't get these guys sick.
Oh, man, I know. So I'm surprised.
Well, Carolyn had the same thing going on. She said that like two of her kids brought it home, and
I'm
somehow
pretty
her and her
sure
husband
Sean
didn't
gave
do
it to me.
Oh, for sure.
And just like, fuck him. My boss.
No, the
got
last
me
time I
sick.
got sick, I knew exactly how I got sick. There was a like 3-year-old at the store, just sitting in a cart going, like not like parents are even trying to cover it up. This kid's just
Yeah.
like actively vomiting out flu virus everywhere.
If I was 3
And I
years
was-
old and I coughed without covering my mouth, I would get slapped across the face. And good on my parents. for
Mio.
that.
Psh.
Yeah. Fucking cover your mouth when you cough, cochino.
No, I know exactly. That was the last time I was sick. That's exactly where it came from because I was walking by because I saw the kid doing this. I was like, "Fuck! I have to walk next to this kid. I hope he doesn't do it. I hope he doesn't do it." I'm walking by. I'm like trying to hold my breath, and then I just get like this. I'm like, oh fuck me! That's all over. It's literally all over the air right now.
Should have just gone the other way.
I can't. I have to go that way.
All right, let's do this.
So yeah, that was the last time I got sick, and I don't. It's one more reason I hate children.
Well, yeah.
Children are the fucking worst. I'm not saying fuck kids, but like
No,
just fuck
don't-
kids.
don't fuck
don't
kids.
actively fuck kids, but fuck kids.
Yeah.
Level 3 entertainment news.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. So we're in the middle of this huge streaming revolution right now. Obviously, we've got Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon, we've got Disney doing shit.
Is it called Disney Plus?
We've got Disney Plus.
Is it
I
Disney
think
Plus?
it's
Is that
called
what they
Disney
called
Plus. I think it's the Disney Plus.
Maybe
Yeah.
I should have thought of a better name.
We've got the DC Unlimited that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah, fuck
there's
Batman.
all kinds of stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
It turns out that as of this week,
CBS All Access.
we have a new
Where
competitor.
you watch Star Trek.
Yeah, we have a new competitor to the race, and I use that in air quotes. New competitor. Actually, YouTube, as of this last week, has decided they want to start trying to compete with people like Netflix and Amazon.
They already have YouTube Red. What the fuck else are they going to invent?
So they actually started
Yeah.
getting licenses for movies that we're familiar with. So you're talking about YouTube Red, which has original shows like Cobra Kai. I
Yes,
think
and
is
Cobra
one-
Kai
Cobra
was
Kai was
fucking
so
awesome.
good.
Right, they have their own original content. But right now, you can actually go on YouTube and you can find movies like the original Terminator, Legally Blonde, Rocky, and some of the sequels.
It's an eclectic bunch.
Monsters, and they're putting them out there. Just go on YouTube and you can actually just watch these movies on YouTube.
Okay, without having to pay the 99
Right, this-
cents
this
for rental
seems-
or whatever.
right.
This seems to be their entry level into this. I haven't checked it out myself. It is entirely possible that this is you can watch the Terminator on YouTube right now for free, but it's got commercials every once in a while,
Right.
unless you pay for
Yeah,
YouTube.
Hulu does that.
Unless you pay for like the YouTube Plus package or whatever.
Right.
But it seems like YouTube doesn't want to be left behind in this kind of arms race for who will be the next big streamer.
They're doing it wrong.
Unfortunately, they're pulling a lot of
Okay.
older movies that people can kind
Well,
of
that's
get
because those are the ones that are easiest to get access to because
Right.
the
Right.
rights are pretty cheap.
So first of all, that's completely unsustainable. You can't compete with Netflix by giving people free movies to watch. The rest of YouTube is doing fine on its own. Granted, YouTube has been a notorious money loser for Google since it was purchased, but trying to turn it into Netflix is a terrible idea.
Well, they've tried turning YouTube into Twitch,
And it's not unsuccessul. It's
and
just not
it's
the
okay.
best.
But I mean, even Mixer does better than YouTube fucking game streaming or whatever the fuck streaming thing they're doing right now, which we are live on, and I don't even fucking know. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy, but I mean, it feels like they're trying to fight a battle that's already over.
Yeah.
Like I understand that there is an actual war going on, and that we do have these Disney streaming services and DC streaming
yeah,
services.
there's
and all
other
that.
there's other players that are in the game that are showing up, and you're like, oh shit, you're actually showing up to play.
Yeah.
YouTube showing up just kind of feels like, didn't you already tried that?
Okay.
This would be someone coming out with an early access battle royale game in 2 years.
Did everybody
going,
see?
Hey,
I'm assuming
here,
everybody
y'all like this, right?
Right, everybody here saw 300, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Like YouTube showing up to this battle is like the little gremlin guy showing up and being like,
fight you.
I brought my shield, Leonidas.
and you're like, yeah, that's cute, dude. Like,
That's adorable. If I kicked you right now, would you fall over? Oh, you would. Oh.
so I
Even
mean,
standing.
YouTube's gonna have to make some really big strides and do
Very
something
misshapen.
very, very different and original to bring in the
Did
kind
you
of
just call
numbers.
YouTube a mongoloid? Is what?
We can't use that word on the show, Tony. Okay, so we're gonna move on from YouTube. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the movie Venom.
Cool.
I still have yet to go watch
Have,
this.
Same.
have not seen it.
I've not seen it.
I feel I'm a bad Spider-Man Venom
Right.
Carnage fan for having not gone to watch this, mostly because
I think we should just like make it a thing when it comes out on
I feel
video.
like professional
we should-
curiosity.
We should just all watch it
at the
together.
very least,
guys,
watch it.
guys, dollar theater is so much more enjoyable to do that shit too.
Or
'Cause
I would prefer my couch to the dollar
right,
theater.
like
Thank
Hector,
you very much.
Hector has booze.
I will host. There will be booze and
the
food.
great thing
Maybe some
about the
weed.
dollar theater is
Oh yeah.
no one gives a fuck at the dollar theater. So we are allowed. It's better than your house because you said you want to
Yeah,
watch
but
movies in the theater, right?
but I don't
But
wanna
you can
go-
bring your own booze and scream as much as you want at the screen because everyone there is.
But if I'm trying
for a
to
dollar.
watch the movie,
but I don't want to
and-
go to see Venom and then see somebody getting a handy in
right,
front
and
of
then
me.
some other chuckle fucks are yelling as loud as they can.
You don't
And
wanna see the video with us,
as
okay?
the prostitute in the front seat gives out 2 handies at the same time. That's not my crowd.
First off, she's practicing for the Olympics. She is practicing skiing right there.
Also,
That is
she's a
talent.
businesswoman. Don't make fun of her.
No. She can do what she wants. I'm just saying I don't want to see it while I'm
So
watching Venom.
we are all comic book fans.
Maybe watching somebody else get a hand job will be better than watching Venom. We don't know.
Could be.
Well, that's the question here, because we haven't seen Venom,
No.
A lot of other people have.
and a lot of people have.
Oh, yeah.
In fact,
It made a lot of
Venom,
money.
as of this last week, is one of the largest superhero movies of all time.
Why haven't I heard more about it
It
then?
crossed the $800 million mark worldwide. It beat out Wonder Woman this last week.
well,
Jeez.
Like,
It's not- it's not
hard to
movie.
beat out Wonder
No,
Woman.
Wonder
it's
Wo-
very
no,
hard to beat out Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman was one of the highest grossing superhero movies of all time.
It was huge. Before Black Panther, before Infinity War, obviously.
Let's say Infinity War and Black Panther destroyed the
Right.
shit out of
Wonder Woman was the
everybody.
one to
No,
beat.
right now, Venom is on par with some of the biggest superhero things out there. Basically,
made a
it
lot
will
of
be
money.
fighting
No,
Infinity War for dominance if it keeps going the way it's going.
Think about this right now. All right, so you said that's $200 million away from making $1 billion.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed Venom would have made half of that.
No,
honestly.
me neither.
Get this.
I thought that it bombed. I
It-
thought that it bombed at the box office.
Right
It did in the United
As
States.
of right now,
or it bombed-ish.
at least $610 million of that was non-U.S.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it did kind of do
I
that in the
see.
U.S.
I see.
Everywhere else is not.
Wonder
us.
Woman made $821 million worldwide. Right. This is where we're at right now with Venom.
So that's 21 million, and Venom takes over.
That's it. That's it. And like, this is ridiculous. Like, China alone apparently is something like $205 million.
That's the weird thing. So they marketed Venom as this weird. You want Venom as your boyfriend thing. Like I can't make this up.
Okay,
Like,
so we'll never. I
will never understand this.
being a partaker person. I know there's a better word for that. I just can't think of it.
Ingester?
A lot of Japanese culture. I realized at a very young age that we will never understand the advertising in other countries.
Right.
Advertising is far too culturally relevant. It just has its finger on the on everyone's pulse in that country. So if you watch a commercial from another country, you're not going to get the angle.
Yeah,
You were going to be
societally
confused,
things are different there.
confused and usually a little scared,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's
Maybe
what
a
it
little
is.
bit turned on.
Yeah, so maybe marketing campaigns mean everything to movies
Oh,
in
absolutely.
general. So
And the marketing campaign for Venom, specifically in China, was about how you want Venom as your boyfriend.
No, that's not true.
Was that not true?
No,
That's
what,
just
no
the way
what,
that-
what you're thinking of is something that actually came out today, where they're getting ready for the Blu-ray release, and they made a parody commercial that basically turns the story of Eddie Brock and Venom into a love story, and
That's
that was
adorable.
literally done by the producers for funsies. Thing.
Okay,
sounds fun.
then I read the wrong
Yeah.
thing then.
So
But
yeah,
either way, that's
but
still
either way,
fucking weird.
Like
Yeah.
Venom, like straight up, is killing it outside of America, which means there's going to be a sequel.
Oh, yeah,
like
for sure.
flat out, whether we want it or not,
we
whether or
should
not.
probably really watch it.
Yeah, like as soon as we can get our hands on it, we need to sit down and watch it and see if it's worth having a sequel. But yeah, it's ridiculous because these are things that we don't think about as Americans.
Yeah.
We're just like, yeah, cool, Venom
You
came
mean
out.
other countries? Yes, we don't think about that
we
as
Do not
Americans.
think about them at all.
Unless they're trying to come here.
Right, but the fact
Are
that
they brown? 'Cause then we
the
do.
fact
We
that
do.
like Venom has made this much money overseas means we will see more of this whether we like it or not, and it will be important for us to watch this with a critical eye and go, was this good? What can they do better? What can they improve on? Because we need to have that opinion out there to get it.
Okay, so I'll go with Surface right now. Again, I haven't watched this movie. None of us have. I do still want to watch it. It's been on my list of things. Like, we haven't had a weekend night where we all just had could go watch it, right?
we busy.
and that's what I've been waiting on. Like,
Yeah.
just so I'm like, hey, by the way, it's Saturday, and fuck you, nobody has anything to do. Let's go watch Venom.
Yeah.
I've been waiting on this to fucking happen. Watching the trailers, I've watched I think quite a few of them, not every one of them, but quite a few of them. My opinion of it is, wow, this is way better than Ninja Turtles. Which
Well, sure.
my
but,
par my par for weird CGI characters from my childhood. New Ninja Turtles movie fucking destroyed the hell of it, made it look like crap. This one's like, well, it kind of looks like the way I envisioned this happening.
You're like better than Spider-Man 3.
yeah.
Well, seeing as like the trailers for Spider-Man 3 still made it look pretty cool.
It did.
The,
Yeah,
the
the
mo-
trailers-
It
watch-
did, and then
wa-
the movie betrayed that horribly.
Yes, it did. But you know what? Sam Raimi's come on record about that. Like, I want to give the
It
the
was
guy a little
not
bit
Sam
slack.
Raimi's fault.
Right.
Like, it was not. He was forced to put that in.
Yeah, there was a lot of studio shit that because he can't. Venom wasn't part of his generation. He didn't want to have Venom in there at all.
Right. I mean, the other villain in the movie was fucking Sandman.
Yeah,
Like, how are you
but
going to put
Sandman
Venom
came
next
from-
to Sandman?
Yeah, Sandman came from the 70s. Sam Raimi read Spider-Man in the 70s. Like, I only want to have 70s. I want to have my childhood in these
Right.
movies, which made total sense.
Vulture, Doc Octopus. I mean, all the really lame ones, all the really old ones that are like basically classic.
That have moved on and have become much more interesting characters post these things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's really interesting to see. Look forward to another Venom movie. We can only hope that they'll take this money that they've made off of it and really try and improve on it so that they get a bigger domestic box office opening come the sequel, right?
I think that because of how well it's done internationally, that will influence where the story is going on in the future. The so that's one thing that we also have to fucking get over ourselves at this point. It's something I've been thinking about quite a bit recently. The U.S. has to get over itself on thinking it's the world power for things, especially when it comes to culture.
Oh yeah.
We're not.
No, not at all.
We don't spend near as much. We do spend a lot.
We are by far the best at exporting our culture.
We are
Yes.
the best at funding military.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, that's because it's the only thing we do anymore.
Yeah, but we're definitely the best at exporting our culture. But when it comes to like, I mean, things like World of Warcraft and apparently things like Venom as well. Like the Chinese have a huge influence on how movies are made now. It just recently happened again with The Meg. There was so much going on with that movie that was strictly Chinese and for a Chinese audience.
Yeah, no. If you see H Brothers production,
Oh, yeah.
before a movie, expect at least a third of that movie to not be for the United States or even Europe at
Yeah,
all.
it happened a lot with all the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm okay with that because I'm looking forward to the days of Serenity where we have this weird cultural mix in space.
Oh, yeah.
Where we all abandon Earth because global warming is real.
Where I see, a logo with kanji on it, and I can just read it.
I
'cause
just
was raised
picture
with
Blade
it.
Runner.
Oh yeah,
That's
Blade
the
Runner.
world, that's the world that
Yeah.
we live in.
Dude, street ramen shops? Fuck yeah.
There you go. All right, so our last topic for entertainment news this week is going to be we're going to talk about Jordan Peele. So recently we've been talking about him in terms of the Twilight Zone, right? We've been super excited about this. Obviously, he's with Get Out showed us like I can fucking do horror. So Jordan Peele has finally been confirmed that he is working on, he's the producer and writer for the upcoming Candyman movie that's going to be released in 2020.
Okay.
Yep. And the thing is if you go
No,
back...
culturally, like, it totally fits. Like, I totally get it. Like,
Right.
it makes sense that he would want to. How many black bad villain murderer characters do we
Right.
have in film?
Right, but-
Candyman, and that's like it, right?
There is a lot of the story of Candyman that is about, gentrification, that is about racial prejudice. A lot of that
It's about slavery and a lot of other horrible things.
right.
Yeah, like,
and
that's-
so the thing was, the original story was written by Clive Barker, and it delved into those things, and we got movies about them, but the movies were kind of 80s, 90s slasher film kind of things.
it turned into a '90s slasher film,
Right.
yes.
But now we're going to have Jordan Peele come in and say, all right, so I'm going to take this, and now I'm going to rewrite this.
I think the correct term is he's going to fix it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And while Candyman, the first one, is great because it's just one of those iconic slasher movies of all time.
Okay.
It hasn't been tested, hasn't been changed, has been modified in a very long time. Not just really its creation. It's always
Yeah.
been a modification of what the first story was. That Jordan Peele can come in and, based on his previous works, add a little bit of levity, which it definitely needs. Even Get Out had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
even to the end of the movie where you should not be laughing, you're kind of laughing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like the most Jordan Peele moment in
Yeah.
the whole movie where he's just sitting in the car and his buddy's like, told you not to go in that fucking house, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like
It was a joke that started at the beginning of the movie and then
the
paid
most
off at the end of the
perfect
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
tension release maybe I've seen in a movie.
But good horror does that, right?
Yeah.
It gives you that
It's the ebb and flow,
yeah.
the pull and take. It needs that. And Candyman is something that, you know what? It's not in the cultural zeitgeist right now. Nobody's thinking about Candyman.
when he
Nobody's
said Candyman,
Well,
I had
he-
to take a minute and go, do I know what
Right,
Candyman
and
is?
and like Jordan Peele even came
Okay.
out and said that like it was a big deal for black representation in horror.
Yes, like I
And
said,
that-
think of any other specifically. All right, you think about what are the things for a black person in a horror movie? Dying at the very beginning.
Or Magical Negro.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the
And then
key
think
things.
about as a villain.
Yeah.
You have Candyman and
And yeah, Jordan Peele came out and he said there's when it comes to horror, there are two big influences for him. It's Night of the Living Dead and Candyman. Like those are both big influences for him as a horror filmmaker because they do star people that he can relate to in it.
Right? Yeah, no, it's totally understandable from well, first off, he's got two very good examples.
Yes.
Star there. You can kind of just like throw it like, well, those are two amazing movies, all right?
Yeah.
But coming from a cultural standpoint, yes, those are incredibly important and understandable why you would choose those two films.
Yeah.
And him being in charge of this, I was like, but you're also working on the Twilight Zone, so
I think
maybe you don't spread yourself too thin
He
because
sounds like
I've
a busy
seen
dude. Maybe don't add a third project.
Yeah,
Right, but when it comes to a
I'm
project-
okay with adding this one, but like don't add a third
Right.
one.
But when it comes to a project like Twilight Zone, he may be only writing every few episodes.
That's true.
Right. He's going to be bringing in other great talent to work on that, and he's going to get final
I
approval.
mean, he's
on
the
what-
producer
yes.
of it. He will be
Right.
starring as a speaking role
Yeah.
in it. But that doesn't take near as much
Candyman,
time.
You
he's
could knock
just
all those out
right,
in an
in
afternoon.
Candyman, he's just writing the script, and then he's got a director already picked out.
Basically, I don't want Guillermo del Toro with this. All
Right. You don't want 12 projects in the works.
Don't give me 12
essentially.
projects that I'm eagerly awaiting every single one of, and then go like, well,
Well, 9 of
one
them
of these
are
you might
canceled.
see.
I'm
Right.
just saying, Jordan Peele's Candyman, am on board. Like, let's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
fucking do
No,
this.
no, I'd love to see
I'm just
that.
gonna wonder what he's doing with the bees this time.
And it's going to be releasing
'Cause all
on...
the bees are dead now.
Yeah, June 12th, 2020 is the target date for this movie to get
Nice.
released.
Cool.
So,
Just in
I'm
time
on
for
board
the
with this.
PlayStation 5.
exactly. All right, that's everything that we have for entertainment news this week. We're going to take a small break. When we come back, we'll be going into our final segment, the epilogue.
I need to pee.
Hi.
Hi, babe. How are you?
How's it going?
Shit.
It is cold. It's
Did
super
you fuck
cold.
it up?
Yeah, I clicked the fucking track.
All right, so you're going to have to make a new
Yeah,
track.
I need to close it and open a new one.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Yes, I know. It is 9:10. You are being fed very soon.
I know what time it is. Shouldn't have bought me that watch for Christmas.
No, she has an internal clock that's really fucking.
Her internal clock is I'm fat.
That's weird. I have that same internal clock.
Alright, I'm just gonna.
Just open a new track.
Yeah, I'm just gonna open up a new copy of it. Just copy it over afterwards.
Cool.
But I'm gonna feed her and pee. So.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
so sad about that store closing.
I
Which
know,
one?
I'm sorry.
The games and like toys store at the mall.
Was there a...
So
I just know that Sears is closing, and by the way,
Called
Sears is
Gardens.
closing.
Yeah.
yeah, seriously,
Yeah, there's.
It's the big. It's the one that we always go to that has all like the toys and board games and.
called Go Games.
Which
Yeah.
mall
Oh,
is this?
well,
It's,
y'all gone there
Barton
way more than I have.
Springs.
I've been there
Okay.
like
Yeah.
once or twice.
Yeah.
I went there like specifically to go there. I was like, I'll find something. To do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm pretty sure I found like the old store like location.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember exactly where it was. And they sell calendars too, and it's just like the calendar shop.
Wow,
And
that sucks.
they cut off like it's only like 10 feet deep, so they cut off the
Wow.
rest of it. And it's like all dark and shit. And it was like,
Aw.
Fucking millennials, man.
they still have them at the outlet mall, so.
Yeah, we ruin everything by buying it online.
Fucking millennials, just ruining everything.
And I went to the fancy Target. And it was weird.
There's a fancy Target?
It looks fancy inside.
Is it the one... Which one is that one?
It's the one over by Sunset Valley. It's on
The one on Mopac?
on Mopac and 290.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's
I've
all
been to that
tucked.
one.
It's all tucked in back there.
Yeah, that one is nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like super fancy.
There's a weird creepy like homeless dude in the store.
Wow.
And like he was like following this woman to like her car and shit. And I was like,
Wow. You had a
this
weird.
is the nice Target.
You had a weird day.
Yeah.
All right. So you think you're ready for this?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm good. You can just set me up. I'll knock it down.
Okay.
Oh, Hector,
Mhm.
did you follow the Cards Against Humanity 99% off sale?
No, Lash was doing that for me because he's taking a giant pack of them to Denver with us.
No, the crazy things they were selling.
Yeah, yeah. No, he said he wanted to buy like a whole complete pack, and he was talking about this crazy sale. So I never looked
So
it up.
The crazy sale was things like a disco ball, a car, a trip to the Antarctica,
Jesus Christ.
but for 99% off.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Cards Against Humanity did some weird shit for Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean, they've always done
Friday.
hilariously
Insane.
weird shit.
You could buy a $20 bill for 20 cents.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into this because
They
we're gonna be
legit did that.
we're gonna be talking a lot about Fallout.
I was so close to getting a like a full size crazy like rental bounce house for $17.
That's pretty awesome.
All right, so just preface this before we get started.
Aaron's still doing a
Remember
thing.
that we are going to be talking about Fallout 76. We are not here to just flat out bash the information that we have. It's to process what has been told to us and what has basically come to light since the game has been released.
That was entirely aimed at you, Hector, because I don't know
that's
any
fine.
of this.
Man.
Yeah, just
My knowledge of Fallout is they made a new one and it doesn't have NPCs.
yeah,
So I-
just watch out when you chime in because I'm gonna have kind of a flow going.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I've got a series of questions that I'll interrupt with every once in a while, but you've got a whole bunch of stuff that you want to cover. So we'll just jump into Fallout 76 and just kind of go from there.
All right, I need to click. Oh, fuck you.
Nice.
There.
Perfect.
We need a left-handed person to do this shit. I am not left-handed.
Or you could just spin like 4 times an episode and use your right hand.
But then I have to move these.
Yeah,
I already put it back here.
that's fine. I'm not questioning your methods, just your solution.
Oh God, stop, please. Just fuck it. Oh God, you made him. God, this is why the show never gets done.
And then I have to click this and move it all back while you were all quiet, by the way. When I click record, I have to move the microphone, and then speak. So it's not just a click and talk. It's a whole other process. I'm showing you the error of your ways.
I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way to fix it. You're right.
Until I get a fucking wireless stream deck, I can just press a button over here, which... I can do that with this. The Streamlabs OBS has an app, and I can literally just do it in there. But it doesn't work for Audacity, so that's not the
No.
recording part. Epilogue.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. This is the epilogue. This is our main talking point for the podcast, sometimes related to the news, sometimes not. All right, so our main topic this week is going to be about the release of Fallout 76. It's been a very controversial release. Obviously, a lot of people were very excited about it up until a couple weeks ago. They dropped a lot of money on some very expensive packages to get this game. So I have a bunch of questions to kind of dive into it. Before we get started, I do want to mention none of us at the panel have played Fallout 76. However, at least Hector and I have spent a lot of time over the last week and a half watching streams, watching reviews, not just negative ones, watching positive ones, digesting as much information about this game as possible so that we could come to this discussion table as educated as possible. So
And educated as possible as we are able,
right.
without having played the game.
Right, without having first-hand experience. But I mean, when you watch a stream, it's different. But there's a lot to be said about reviewing a game, which is not what we're doing, without having played it. Right. But this isn't that. You can have critique of a work having experienced it, even if you experienced it secondhand.
Right. So I guess we'll start, Hector, with you, because this really is like your baby. This is your epilogue. Why are we discussing Fallout 76 today?
We're discussing Fallout 76 today because Fallout 76 is an atrocious video game. Because, in my opinion, it is a creatively and ethically bankrupt product given to people, served based on their loyalty to a brand, which is not what they received.
Okay. So what are some of the reasons that you've come to this conclusion after watching these videos and doing this research? What are some of the factors that...
Right, so there's a few things to say just right off the bat is that if you are currently playing this game and you're having fun with it, I'm happy for you. Great stuff. It is possible to have fun, as we learned from Billy Madison, with a flaming bag of actual shit.
Well, some old school Adam Sandler references.
And it is even more fun to enjoy that bag of shit with friends. So, yeah, sometimes you can have fun with things that aren't good.
I play PC Building Simulator. It's not a very good game, but it's fun for me.
Yeah, and I also want to point out before we start that this comes from a place of love. I personally have not been an enormous fan of the last 2 Fallout games, but I know James has, and I appreciate those games. I don't think they were terrible. I think they were labors of love. Were they the most polished games that ever released? No. But I don't want this to sound like it's coming from a place of, you know, joy, like I'm enjoying the failure of Bethesda. I'm not. I genuinely feel bad for the people who bought this game because they love Fallout, and this is what they got. And I also have to say one other thing about, just to head off other comments about Bethesda games. When you buy something, a $60 full price game, not in early access, not in beta, you expect a finished product. If you bought a car and you just waited and went to go online to check to see if they had got the engine working or when the windshield wiper patch was going in, I think you'd be pretty upset. You want to buy a product that is finished.
When did they add tires?
Exactly. So to start off everything right from the beginning, the beta. This isn't a unique this isn't a unique thing that Bethesda did. Other companies have done this in the past, but you only got the access to the beta when you pre-ordered the game first, which is a shitty practice. Don't do that.
They did give people that bought the early access and have beta access the option to give out codes to their friends.
Yes, they did. They also carried your progress from the beta over into the main game.
Really?
Which is
That's weird.
It's
That is a
not
dirty
weird
practice.
because it's not a fucking beta, so don't call it one. The game was released 2 weeks early if you pre-order the game, and it was released somehow more broken than it is now, which is still really fucking broken. And you basically paid for the privilege of playing the not complete game 2 weeks early. And that's not a beta. It's a demo, or at very best, a server stress test.
And the fact that your progress carries over, that's really offensive because basically that's a have and a have-nots at that point.
Yeah.
You're saying those who pre-ordered the game get to be ahead of everybody else. In a game that does have PvP, you get a 2-week head start on everybody else.
Right. So before we get into the problems with the game, though, one more thing I want to go over is how they sold the game. This game wasn't available on Steam. This game was only available through the Bethesda client or in a, you know, brick and mortar store with a physical copy.
Or if on console through Sony or Microsoft.
Right. The speculation there is they did this to avoid the Steam's refund policy. Because they have a very hard refund policy for every game sold on Steam that says if you played it for less than 2 hours, you can request a refund, no questions asked. And so instead, even though they would have sold much more copies selling it through Steam, they said, nope, our client only. The client experience with refunds through the Bethesda launcher, as have been reported on Reddit, are incredibly mixed. Because the Bethesda policy is, if you played the game, you can't refund it. Which was stated in the terms of service. However, customers are experiencing issues where they've been said, oh, you downloaded the game, therefore you cannot have a refund. Just downloaded it, not have any active playtime. And other Reddit users have reported getting a refund within minutes of claiming they wanted a refund with no further communication. So there's actually a class action lawsuit being formed right now by a company in DC saying that, what the fuck's going on? What's your policy?
Yeah, because that's all over the place. And you can't just... having done customer service jobs, you generally have a company rule that you have to follow. You're allowed a little bit of leeway saying, like, okay, in certain extenuating circumstances, you give out, like, a discount or a refund or whatever. But generally, there's you only go this far. Right. So and everybody needs to only go this far.
At this point, it seems that Bethesda themselves have no idea what their refund policy is, except that they pretty much don't have one. And other things about how they're selling the game. This was a $60 AAA game with microtransactions. Don't do that, anybody. Please, just stop doing that. And, well... microtransactions, if you look at them, are maybe the laziest
I haven't watched any of the video stuff for this.
It's purely cosmetic.
Is it just cosmetic?
It's purely cosmetic.
Purely cosmetic.
There's no pay to win. It's not that kind of dirty, but they're super low effort and they're really fucking expensive for some reason.
That thing is like, since coming from Destiny, when Destiny 2 first came out and they added it, they had the cosmetic stuff in there. $60 game with cosmetic items. A lot of the cosmetic stuff was pretty low effort. It wasn't very interesting, and it wasn't very good. As it's developed,
Yeah, it got better.
they've made that additional content kind of worth spending additional money on, and even to but making it very easy to obtain for free in the game.
Right. So, and now in this $60 game that has issues and bugs that would make the term alpha embarrassed, as of today, which is about 13 days after the game is released, it's on sale on Amazon for $35. The collector's edition of this game sold for $200 literally 13 days ago.
Yeah, so that was one of the Black Friday deals because earlier I said how Fallout, I think it was while we were alive and doing the show.
Right.
Now, Battlefield 5 was dropped down to $30 right now.
Right.
That's because its sales aren't doing the best, and they know that. But a lot of AAA games that came out very recently, including Red Dead Redemption 2, were hugely discounted this week.
Yes.
And this is one that it's no longer, because those games are dirty. Their discount is done. We've passed Cyber Monday. For the most part, most companies are done with their sales. This is one that is still on sale, right?
Yes. It is. That is the price of it right now.
Yeah.
So that's enough with selling. Let's talk about reviews, as the game has been out for about 13 or 14 days. Everyone knows who Giant Bomb is. They're a huge gaming review publication site. They've had a YouTube channel for, like, as long as there's been a YouTube. They have their own website. They review literally every game that comes out the way you would expect IGN or Gamma Sutra or Eurogamer to. Jeff German, their basically public face, said in a podcast, "No one on the staff wants to play any more of this video game. I'm not going to subject myself to another 20 or 30 hours of this fucking mess just to put a number on it. My number is, don't play this game."
So it's literally a 0. Do not even touch this.
And just to make that just the wee bit more informational, the thing about this is more of a self-preservation move for a lot of outlets that publish game reviews. They've refused to review this game because in the past, and you can ask any Twitch streamer, when you give a game a bad review, that company will no longer send you review copies of any game they produce in the future.
And in fact, a lot of AAA publishers, not developers, publishers, have gone so far as no longer giving out any copies for review. That if you want to review the game, you must purchase it, and that is it.
Correct.
That if we do give you a review copy, you are not allowed to release it till after the game is actually officially launched.
Right. So again, as of recording, this game, for the outlets that have reviewed it, is sitting at a 55 score on Metacritic. Which is
really awful.
The lowest in the franchise, lower than the Brotherhood of Steel offshoot game for the PlayStation 2, which is notoriously really fucking terrible.
So one thing I did look into just a little bit. There was Bethesda does their employees get a bonus based on how well a game is received.
Yeah, this has happened to other game studios too.
And a few years ago, they came out with a game. I believe it was actually the Fallout 3 expansion, New Vegas.
Oh, sure.
That New Vegas, whenever it first came out, had a Metacritic score of 85.
Right, and they tied their bonuses to getting a 90 or above or something.
And they
like
said
that.
No one's getting a bonus because it did not reach the standards that we believe it should go up to.
Right.
And which
is hilarious because New Vegas is considered the best of the Fallout
They actually
games.
talked about that during the GDC that we were at.
That's interesting.
I've drank so much since then.
We drank a lot at that GDC.
We did. I don't remember those nights. Okay, I remember some of those nights. But yeah, no, that was one of the big issues with Bethesda, within any company, tying your performance review is based or your
based on what critics think of your game. That's insane. It's like
it's a common practice that needs to stop.
It absolutely needs to stop. Your bonus is supposed to be based on how hard you worked. Yeah. And we know after we talked about Red Dead that these guys work their asses off.
Right.
So they deserve their bonuses.
Okay, so continue on.
So enough about reviews, enough about money. Let's talk about the game itself. When you talk about Fallout games, you can't help but talk about narrative. You talk about story. What's great about Fallout? It certainly isn't the graphics. At least it hasn't been lately. It certainly isn't the mechanics. They're good. They're functional. But it's the story. It's the narrative. It's the
world is interesting.
It's the interesting characters telling interesting stories that all took place within this world that is set up really well, and that you understand, that you're buying into. Fallout 76 has none of that. The game feels massively empty with basically placeholder assets, with a map that's large, but there are huge swaths of it that have been marked as the community as empty because there's literally nothing in it.
There's not even just a
There's
village.
No,
or...
well, if there are buildings with zombies in them, that is content. There are huge areas that are just trees.
Okay,
Just trees.
I do have to ask this about from you, maybe from James, or from anybody who's actually ever been there. Have you been to West Virginia?
Never. I hear there's a mountain mama and she wants to take me home, which I am down with.
You don't want to be down
We'll
with that.
see. I
And
mean,
why is that not a plot line in this game anyway?
I'll try everything once.
Because there's no plot in this game.
Right, and that's where I'm going
No,
with
but
this.
West Virginia is full of a lot of, meth, and that's really it.
Right. So imagine a Fallout game, James, that had no NPCs. Just imagine Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 with literally no NPCs.
I play those games because I want to interact with the NPCs.
Exactly.
They're the ones who define the world for me. When I go to Nuketown, I get to see the cult that surround themselves by this nuke that hasn't gone off.
It's
Like,
literally
so
dripping
fascinating.
radiation into the water that they're standing in,
Right.
and you're going like, guys, don't do that.
Yeah. But that's the fascinating part of it because this is a world in which they think that's socially okay.
Right.
Like right now we live
They're
in a
turning
world
themselves into
Right.
ghouls, and
Right.
it's like, don't do that.
Like right now, like somebody could be playing the Fallout game of our world and they're like telling us like, why are there Nazis?
Yeah, there shouldn't be
There
Nazis
shouldn't
anymore.
be Nazis and nobody's listening.
Who's playing this game of Civ, by the way? Because I'm very angry at them.
So this game has no NPCs. You trade with vending machines and you talk to bots. The human voices come from these audio tapes and recordings that not only don't really give you like any kind of interactivity, but can be immediately talked over by any kind of mission goals you have or any other basic sounds in the game.
So
and you can't pause them.
You can't replay them.
I don't know if you can replay them. I didn't really look that up, but you can't pause them while you're experiencing them in the story because something else might happen. Let's not forget that this is a multiplayer game with no push-to-talk key. Not meaning you can't talk to people, meaning their mics are always on. So if you're playing with a friend and his mom is in the background yelling at him to clean his room while you're trying to listen to something, there's no way to stop that.
Okay, so this is something that I've run into because of playing my favorite game. And when I play the new content and they're hearing new dialogue for the first time ever, if I'm playing with somebody, I just mute everything aside from the game.
Right.
When you're
And
playing
then
Destiny,
after
you're
that,
just like,
I'm like, sure, you can talk as much as you want because I've heard it once.
Right. And I think my last point on story has to be that there isn't one. People will comment and say, there's all these journal entries. You can read everything on every monitor, and there are all these recordings of people talking in the past. That's not story, guys.
That's lore.
That's lore.
Lore and story are two different things.
Yeah, that's like saying Destiny had an amazing story. It didn't. It
had
had no
amazing-
story.
it has
had
amazing
good
lore.
lore. Destiny 1 had lore. That had no story. So, I mean, to get right to the point of it, is it fun? The consensus seems to be with friends, sure. Kind of. But it's that kind of make your own kind of fun where
like Minecraft.
Yeah, like things happen.
By the way, the more I learned about this game, the more it sounded like Minecraft.
It really did. It sounded a lot like Minecraft. It's like it can be fun with friends, but it reflects poorly on the game when you say that playing the game alone can be awful and a chore, and playing with friends is fun with conditions because you're obviously going to be frustrated by all the other things I'm about to talk about. But this is a full price $60 game with microtransactions that doesn't seem that is essentially playing like one of those $30 early access survival simulators that were super popular before Battle Royale came out. But how did this become Fallout? The game is always online, and server disconnects are the norm, especially on the PS4, which is the largest platform the title is sold on.
In Bethesda's defense,
do not attack Sony on this.
They historically have had the worst track record with Sony.
This has nothing to do with Sony.
No, Bethesda and Sony for some reason
do
not function together.
Because they both want all the money that they tend to be making.
No, and if you look at Fallout 3, if you look at Skyrim, if you look at the other games that came out before Skyrim, if you look at Fallout 4, all have huge holes when it comes to playing on a PlayStation.
No, you're not wrong.
No, like game-breaking things that just don't exist on PC or Xbox. They for some reason don't do a lot of testing on the Sony platform.
Yeah.
And don't I don't understand how like the Fallout 3 should have never even been released on the PS3 because it was so fucking broken.
Yeah, I mean, this game shouldn't have been either. So the disconnects are a major issue because you instantly lose any progress you have, and because they happen all the time, it's become a huge sticking point. You can complete the requirements of a quest, and be going back to the robot that gave you that quest,
Like walking back to it or whatever.
to turn in the quest. If you disconnect, you have lost all of the progress you made on that quest, even though you've already completed it. And let's not forget that you can pay in-game currency to fast travel to an event, do a live event happening in the game, disconnect from it, come back, live event is gone, your money's gone.
Okay, so this is, the only thing I can rightly compare this game to at this point is either a traditional MMO or Destiny, because there's no other in between,
Sure.
right? That we don't have, Anthem isn't out yet, and no one else has made a Warframe. The closest we can
Warframe and Destiny are the two closest things you'll get to this.
yeah, outside of EverQuest or
Right. And MMOs, because this is kind of an MMO like Warframe, like Destiny.
yeah. Whereas, all right, so this is one of the things that coming from Destiny 1 into Destiny 2 that they implemented at the very beginning, that when you see mission complete and the drop happened, you're done.
Yeah.
Like if you disconnect right before that, you're kind of fucked, and that's just that's
Right.
the nature of the shitty internet connection. But if it says you're done, there's no walking back. There's no having to like, oh, I got to load this other screen to go do a thing. No, it's the the rewards are instant for your account, and your account has to be held server side because of things like disconnects that happen. So. Even though I've been disconnected in the middle of getting a reward, I log back on. It goes, oh no, you still got that. You finished it, but you didn't get it because you got disconnected. But you did get it.
Right.
So that's when I hear that, like the idea of like,
It's
you're
like
trying
someone
to, like,
trying to reinvent the wheel and doing it wrong.
yeah, like,
it's
this
like
is
a
like
square for
my
some
brain
reason.
is like, no, when an activity is completed, you finish that, and also paying for fast travel.
So
I feel ill thinking. I feel
So
ill.
we have to talk about graphics now, and I've not been quiet about graphics in Fallout games for a while because I feel like they're really big games, and I would honestly like them to look better. I would probably play them if they looked a little better, but I have to.
But they'd have to be smaller then.
Yes, I have.
That's the size.
That's
They-
not.
they
That's
always-
not true.
they
That's not
always
true at all.
go
The Witcher
for-
3 was way bigger and looked
All
a
right,
ton
The
better.
Witcher 3 is made by crazy Norwegian people, and not by people who live in Massachusetts.
They're
But The Witcher was made with less people.
Yes, less people, and it was made in 2015. Actually, it was made in like 2013 leading up to 2015. That being said, the reason I have to harp on these graphics today is because Todd, on stage at E3, while we all watched, boasted about the great improvements they've made to their creation engine.
Todd Howard, he's the
Todd Howard, yes. He's the
CEO, I believe, of
I'm not
Bethesda.
sure if he's the CEO. I know he's
He's the head.
definitely the front man. He is the man to
He's
talk
the
to
face.
about
Yeah, we
Fallout
talked about
games.
this about
He's
outside
the one
show.
that you get excited about when he comes on stage.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, when we watched the Bethesda whole thing for E3 this last year, and whenever he came out, we were like, oh shit,
here comes
Daddy's
Todd.
here. Daddy's
Yeah.
here to tell us the fucking news.
And you know what? That conference was great. It looked great, and he talked a big game, and we were like, man, this looks cool. We all wanted to, after he, was on the stage and talked about how great this game was going to look, and showed us a screen that the game looks nothing like.
Oh, it doesn't.
Again, don't do that. We were hoping for hopefully the best looking Fallout game we've seen. This game looks like, on a PC, running at the highest settings, a PlayStation 3 game at best, and sometimes a PlayStation 2 game. That is not an exaggeration. This game looks like butts. It is full on looks bad. The textures, when they're loaded, look bad. They look old. They look cobbled together. They look muddy. They look blurry. And so for every forest you traipse through, and there are big forests in the game, at the end there's a town or a building or a hospital. The asset, those buildings, are lifted directly out of Fallout 4. And I mean pixel for pixel.
Damn. Okay.
Just copied out and pasted.
Because obviously, they developed this engine to
Right.
make it more
Right,
accessible for them to do things
He claims
like
such a
this.
visual leap, but when and this isn't a real figure, but when 90% of your assets are literally copied from a game made 3 years ago, you can't yell about how great a visual leap you made when you're talking about your game. And I also have to mention that Fallout 4, by the time modders were done with it, was a beautiful game. It was a really good looking game. Skyrim looks amazing right now.
I watch so friends of mine like spending way too much time on YouTube watching Skyrim mod videos.
Yeah, because some of them are pretty fucking cool.
And I've been stuck at their house, and they'll put that on. I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. And then I watch one and go, holy fuck, that makes that game look gorgeous.
Right,
and it really does.
So I do have a question. Like, I'm going to go.
Go ahead.
One of our panel questions here actually is that with this information that we're currently talking about, do we feel like Bethesda lied to us about the product?
Honestly, if it wasn't a lie outright, it was at very least a lot of spin. Because I mean,
feel like I'm getting a lot of spin, but I don't feel like he ever lied to us about it.
Right. I mean, there's
he never said a million NPCs. No. He never said. He literally said this. The closest you can say is
this would be a great looking game, and he also did the classic Todd Howard line, and it just works. Right. And neither of those things are true. But they're vagaries, right? They're vagaries. When you say this will be the most beautiful Fallout game you've ever seen, it's just not true. But it's a subjective thing. That's why I didn't want to spend a ton of time talking about the visuals. But I kind of have to, because if you played Fallout 4 3 years ago with good mods on your PC, you played a much, much better looking game than Fallout 76. Like by leaps and fucking bounds. The creation engine is far too archaic to be used on any game in 2018.
Now they're using the same engine that Skyrim was built off of.
Yeah, no, Skyrim, yes.
Or not Skyrim, I meant Morrowind.
They're using the same engine Morrowind was built off of. Morrowind came out in 2002. Now obviously they've made a lot of improvements to it since then.
Sure. They put a good coat of paint on it.
But the game...
iterative updates have to happen to engines
but every time they've released a game with this engine, it has come with enough bugs to eat a cracker factory, or whatever a good bug analogy is.
I don't know.
I mean, to make a Bug's Life movie.
Yeah, to make a Bug's Life movie. For real. And so obviously the engine isn't working. Aside from it looking horrible, which it does... The AI issues, the glitches, enemies disappearing while you fight them, just either disappearing under the world or disappearing completely. Quests.
So do they have health rubber banding? Because that's something,
yes,
that's something that drives me crazy in Destiny 2 is health rubber banding.
Yeah, you're
shooting them and like, why are you back at full health? I literally just killed you.
There was a glitch recently where one player accidentally made himself immortal. He wasn't trying to cheat.
He wasn't trying to glitch the system or anything.
It just happened to him. You also have God rays coming up from inside the ground instead of like down from the sky. You have whole bodies of water that will literally not load in, and you can just see
the hole.
You just see a hole which is just gone
with fish, maybe.
Right, and so aside from looking like a PS3 game,
this sounds amazing. Just to watch, like it's like watching a train wreck. I want to play a train wreck.
It was a lot of fun watching the streamers be frustrated with it. I'm not gonna lie. So even when you have, good weather effects and lighting effects when they work, because it does look better than Fallout 4 in those regards, the AI itself is incapable of being challenging. Everything in the game can be outsmarted by a 2-foot rail on the side of the road.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, a lot of the big flaws from it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Fallout at its core is built for a VAT system.
Correct.
And so when you take VATs away...
A pausing system allows you to analyze the game. It still does move, but very slow motion. So like in
VATs, like the challenge of VATs is that like a, the death claws are running at you. And so the challenge is... how do I get my VATs up fast enough to stop the thing that's charging at me?
Right.
When you boil down the mechanics of Fallout, a lot of Fallout mechanics are a thing is rushing at me, let me pop VATs. When you are now in real time... The
VAT system basically, when translated to Fallout 76, became a glorified auto-aim.
Yeah.
You can turn it on, you can see the thing, you can select its head, and you'll automatically shoot at it instead of having to aim, but it doesn't pause. It's running at you full tilt, along with all of its friends running at you full tilt, who clip inside of each other, so they're hard to aim at, and you basically have to run backwards and shoot the entire game, because VATS doesn't do pretty much anything for you.
Right.
And the last thing about graphics is the UI. I mean, we already talked about VATS, but there's also the Pip-Boy. in Fallout 3 and 4, Pip-Boy was, a pause feature. It was clunky to navigate, but it was immersive in the world.
It was literally your menu system.
Right.
Where you go and change your character,
and it was
where you do
cute.
all your things.
Even if it was, cumbersome to navigate through, it kind of felt like it should be because it felt like old technology and you just kind of had to dick with it. But the game paused while you use it. This game doesn't pause. So using a Pip-Boy in a pinch to adjust your menu, adjust your weight if you're over encumbered and you're walking too slow when things are chasing you, to change pretty much anything in the game, even your stats, if you're under any kind of pressure at all, you can't do it because you're in a menu and you're literally having your ass eaten. Not in a good way.
The one thing that I did like that I read today was so we did the math for how much bobby pins weigh in Fallout.
Oh, right.
76.
Yeah, and it's insane.
It is literally 60 times the weight of the actual object.
Wow.
That they're like, how can you get over encumbered carrying something that you could carry millions of?
Yeah, there was a lot of complaints, and I didn't put this in my notes, about the weight system, that it obviously wasn't QA tested because it's horribly, horribly detrimental to the game. With just your loadout walking out into the world, venturing out, your max carry weight, you're at about 60 to 70% capacity of it.
That's ridiculous.
It's I don't know how
you just finished the walking around tutorial,
right?
And you're nearly over encumbered.
Yeah. So the thing about the pit menus, and again, when we talk about QA testing, 3 days after the game came out, a mod came out to readjust the Pip-Boy menu to make it faster, easier to navigate. Put
Get rid of the crap that's not needed.
Put things where they should be.
Can we just mention that mods are a thing that you can put into this multiplayer game?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. First off, that is something that should not exist.
Right.
I mean, I get that historically Bethesda always allows people to mod their games and make them look. Again, we just talked about how Skyrim can become gorgeous up to like this new game standard.
But this has potential to
But
break
that's
the
game
game.
breaking shit.
Absolutely
Never
breaks the game.
allow mods on a multiplayer game.
Which is why the PvP has been so dumbed down, because it's not supposed to be a PvP game. But like I said, 3 days after it came out, someone completely revamped the Pip-Boy system, put it out, quality of life improvement on your Pip-Boy in this game. Great. 3 days. It took someone 3 days to do what apparently the company never thought to do during the entire development of the game, which is say, oh, this is kind of a problem with our old system versus what's happening in this game. Maybe someone should have thought of that. Just in general. So, what do you get when the game works? What do you get when everything is working and the glitches aren't killing you or dropping you through the world or causing your quest to break because the AI won't move?
Right.
You do your chores. All of the quests in this game are fetch quests. Some of them with multiple stages of fetching. You can pick up stuff and craft, which is classic Fallout 3 and onwards. But when you remove the character development, the conversation, the romance, the trading, the interesting locations, what are you left with?
Yeah, no, where's my random stranger showing up and having like some crazy weapon that I want?
Right, let's say you go here, you collect this, and you stand here and you protect this. And those are basically the two kinds of quests in Fallout 76. You fetch something or you defend an area. Now, there are a lot of popular games that you can break down and say, well, these are basically the only two things you do. Again, we're talking about Warframe and Destiny, but there's a huge difference between Warframe, Destiny, and this game. And that is, in those games, it's fun to shoot your gun.
Yeah, no, the gunplay in... we talked about this before we started doing this section, that the gunplay in Destiny 2, even at the base level game where everybody's like, this game is not worth it, it's received bad reviews. When you look at the base story, base story is not bad. The lore needs work because it's just not here yet.
Right.
But the gunplay is still that of the people who made fucking Halo.
Right.
They shoot things good.
Right. Rock solid gunplay, which is what you would expect from a game that's mostly about gunplay.
Yeah.
Fallout was never mostly about gunplay, so we forgave that.
It was about adventuring, about finding out what crazy monster lived in that hill over there.
Exactly.
I am curious because we always poke fun at Bethesda when a new game comes out because it's going to be shipped broken.
Yeah.
Literally, Todd Howard made a joke about that in E3.
He did.
So this is the first time that it seems like people are unwilling to overlook Bethesda's flaws. Do you think this is going to hurt their company going forward? We will turn a more critical eye to the next Skyrim and go, you know what? We may not accept the fact...
That's a cell phone game, so who cares?
Can I say something incredibly uncharitable? I would say that I hope so. I hope this is their Battlefront 2 moment, where the backlash and the refund requests and the just general hatred of the product they put out is so visceral and obvious
the
that they
reviews
have
are so low on this
that
game.
they have no choice but to change what they're doing. EA did a complete 180 after Battlefront 2 because they spent a king's ransom of fucking money on that game, and they got basically no return.
I mean, EA still a huge piece of shit company.
They've done a lot to change stuff.
They're doing things to change it because they realize that
Yeah.
when the people have spoken, that your company can go under in a matter of, well, one game.
Yeah.
No,
it might
I mean,
take
yeah.
years, but that one game will destroy your company.
Yeah, EA, I mean, I have right now from EA what I consider the best deal in all of gaming, and that is their Access Pass, which is, you know, for the price of Netflix, you get access to all of their games, the highest quality of their games, as in like the deluxe versions or the limited editions, on day one that the game comes out for $15 a month. Every game they have and every game that they own in their back catalog. That's huge.
That's a really good deal. It is. That's the same reason I'm pouting out Xbox Game Pass.
Right.
There are good gaming deals out there from companies that you don't like.
But we know for a fact this
that's
game...
because they learned.
But we know for a fact that Fallout 76 did sell well. Yeah, people are upset about it, but it did sell well. And so I'm curious what the panel thinks. What is the message that the financial success of Fallout 76 sends to the rest of the games industry?
Well, that's the thing. They protected themselves by making pre-orders to get into the beta. Pre-orders.
Yeah.
Pre-orders. Don't, please, for fuck's sakes, don't pre-order video games. But the reason so many people
Unless
bought
you're like
this,
guaranteed, you're like, this is a game that you, no matter what, you're just like, this is like, I'm gonna fucking play this no matter what.
Right.
Fuck you. I love this game franchise. I'm going to do it.
And that actually brings me to one of my biggest points in this entire thing, is that 76 doesn't really feel like Fallout at all. It's hollow, lonely multiplayer game. A lonely multiplayer game that gets far more wrong than it gets right. It takes a Fallout name and uses it to get sales, which is what it did, which goes to your point, and then shits all over the name of Fallout. The Fallout attached to this product is not about the identity of what you're getting in the game. It's about marketing. Right. And along with, you know, the AAA gaming industry, this represents everything wrong with the industry that we love. And it's all wrapped in this nice little package of horrible business practices. And then they tied a little shit bow of cosmetic microtransactions on top.
For the, what does it say to the gaming industry aspect of it? It just seems like they're playing on the same, they're playing for par. That at this point, this is what we should expect from the gaming industry. We should expect a game that is overly hyped out to us, telling us that there's going to be this great new groundbreaking experience.
Assets.
Yeah.
And we are going to pre-order the fuck out of it and do all the things. And whenever it fails, when it inevitably does, when the Metacritic score is 50 or below or even worse than that,
Right.
when it receives this backlash of hate because they straight up lied to you, they're going to go, well, it sold this many copies because these are the practices we put in place. It's not doing well on our individual gamification sales inside of the game.
Right.
So this game is now a failure because it didn't give us the secondary money franchise input that we wanted, but it did do the first line input that we wanted because of the practices. Notice these are the practices that are going across everywhere.
Look at Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
More companies are saying, no, you have to buy our game to even have access to our beta. You have to pre-order all this additional content to even have access to these things in the game. And then once you're in the game, oh, by the way, if you want to change anything in it, you need to buy these 99-cent add-ons over and over again. The these microtransactions, this continuation of the going after my wallet is what the game industry wants more and more of. Right. And it is become so predatory. And looking at Fallout 76, you can just tell
in a weird way. It almost feels like game companies are trying to gamify us.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for real.
Oh no, they're playing. They use their metrics. They have all this information about who we are, where we are, what kind of money we make, and how much money we're spending, to where they can play the game of who do we poke at to get the most amount of money. Yeah. Think about it, it's just The Sims, but with a larger base of players.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're literally just going, who can we just rip a little bit of money off of over and over again? Now, I'm not saying this as The Sims is a bad game, I mean, as we are Sims people in it.
Right.
The Sims is currently
Fantastic.
a good game that doesn't fuck with you.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think the last thing I want to talk about in terms of the game itself is a PC port, which is so poorly optimized that the best PC hardware on the planet, we're talking about streamers running the best Intel processors, the 2080 Ti's, cannot get a consistent frame rate on this game.
Oh,
Let's also not forget that the engine has a basic built-in problem that makes it nearly impossible to implement any kind of FOV corrections. There's also no support for any kind of different refresh rates. The game is basically locked at 60 frames per second for all intents and purposes. And there's no ultra-wide monitor support, so you play in this little box on your ultra-wide monitor.
That's
the UI is
really bad. Just from a they didn't even test this or use alternate the driver support's fucked.
They did it. The UI is ripped directly out of the console controller setup, and then they just kind of smattered keys on it.
No, I mean, that kind of works. I mean, you look at Destiny's the PC to the console to PC. The PC is a direct port from the console version. They added a cursor in, and okay, the optimization part is hugely different because Destiny 2 on PC is massively optimized to where that thing runs insanely great.
It runs really, really well. So aside from Destiny for a second, the fact that the UI was ripped out and shoved into the game means no one put any effort into it. Again, that's been the theme, no one's putting any effort into it. And considering what we said about the assets and from Fallout 4 being directly in this game, there's a really dirty word we use for games on Steam. And I mean really dirty. Like the N-word and the C-word got together and all their babies had the bad words for Jews. Like it's a bad word. A bad word. And it's called an asset flip. And that means someone...
We talked about that quite a few times, going back many years.
An asset flip means someone for free downloaded the starter version of a game developer engine saying, develop your own game. And then they took the assets that comes with that thing, and it's like smiley faces and just dumb little shit. You're supposed to make your own, and then throw it into a ready-made game template that also comes with a dev engine, and then sells it on Steam for like 20 cents. What we're looking at is basically the first AAA asset flip. It's technically their own work, but they took all of their old work, shoved it into another game template, which is, in my opinion, the survival template that no one even likes anymore, and sold it to everyone.
Yeah, I've seen the end game boss. It looks surprisingly like the dragons.
It looks a whole lot like a Skyrim dragon, doesn't it?
Yeah, like really, really close.
Like
close. Maybe one of you who works there spent like about a half an hour modding it real quick.
Just recolored
it looks a little bit better than a Skyrim dragon, but I would fucking hope so. Skyrim came out in 2011.
Right. So we're getting towards
the
the end of
modders
this.
have made that dragon look fucking amazing.
I have a couple questions, but do you have any quick points you want to make up before we go
Yeah, I mean, again, like I've been shitting on the game for like 25 minutes now, but I think
39.
Yeah, so I want to. I mean, in the end, we have to talk about like going forward because again, I don't hate Bethesda. I don't even hate Todd Howard. I just wish that the company had done a better job creating this video game.
So the two questions that I have actually relate to that. But my two final questions are really: is Fallout 76 salvageable, and is the franchise salvageable at this point?
I think they're all both 100% salvageable.
Okay.
I mean, we were talking earlier today, and you brought up Final Fantasy XIV. And yes, there's only been one Final Fantasy XIV, but it did happen. If they love this game enough, or this franchise enough, they will correct themselves and do it better. Do it better next time. That being said, Todd confirmed in an interview earlier this year, I think this was in June, that both Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 will both be made on this creation engine, saying we're still improving it.
The engine that's
literally their
16
next,
years old.
We're talking about their two next giant tentpole franchises. We're talking about the next almost decade of Bethesda games to come, and they're being made on the same engine
that's nearly 20 years old.
That was not only used to create Morrowind, but that still has bugs from Morrowind that are unresolved in Fallout 76. I said earlier that I really hope this is Bethesda's Battlefront 2 moment. I really hope this is what makes them scrap everything, say, wow, we fucked it up, let's do something better. But, I mean, I'm not holding my breath. We'll see. I really hope they learned something, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't.
From just a 2 weeks in point of view and reading the news, again, I haven't played the game. I've just been reading some stuff about the game. Bethesda has now put out and going forward, a weekly what we're going to fix.
Yeah, I saw that. That was posted, I want to say today.
Honestly, that's the fastest we've had from any company that's worked on something like this. Saying, hey, we kind of know we fucked up and we need to make changes. We need to listen to the community and move forward together to make the thing that we're all going to be happy with. And
I have to disagree there. Batman Arkham Knight came out for the PC about this broken, and within 6 days it was pulled from the store and was not sold again until it was brought up to standard.
Okay.
And then the people who bought it early and had the broken one until they fixed it, which was about 6 to 7 months later. That's how much work they needed to do on the game. Got all of the DLC and all the extra like season pass content for free.
yeah.
For buying the game, right?
You know, and I totally get that. And again,
if Bethesda wants to do that,
that is an example of a AAA game, but it's not a AAA MMO light game.
no, it's not.
So this game needs to be online to make money because it has a transaction store. It's going to prey on the weak and the people who don't understand that this is not the way the game should be presented.
Right.
They are going to still need to make revenue from those people. You and everybody else is going to stop playing the game or just not buy it or just hate on it, but they're still expecting people to stay in their economy and make money off of this thing, which is why they're going to keep it afloat in that time to go down and make iterative changes. Do I think they can make enough iterative changes to make this game what it should be? Yes. I've seen it happen now twice in a game that I love and have talked way too much about in this show, but it can be done. It can be fixed. It requires a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of people getting
Hopefully,
their
a lot of love.
Honestly,
and hopefully
it's
a lot less ego.
no, it's a lot of
just-
love, but a lot of people also getting their asses fired because what their ideas were not what the community wanted.
Well, and this is the thing that the last thing that I wanted to say was actually a quote from Todd when he talked about using the creation engine for Starfield and for Elder Scrolls 6. He said, "We like our editor. It allows us to create worlds really fast, and the modders know it really well. There are some elementary ways we create our games, and that will continue because it lets us be efficient, and we think it works best." Talking about efficiency and expediency, talking about after seeing this game, normally I would have said, okay, fine. In June, when he said this, I would have said, okay, fine. But after
you
seeing...
can chunk out some games.
But after seeing this asset flip of a game and then talking about cranking out games like an assembly line like Ford or the Assassin's Creed of old or the Call of Duty of now, but certainly not up to those quality standards, this seems like in hindsight, this is a super creepy, horrible statement that feels like they're just trying to crank out games because they know if it says Bethesda on it, people will buy this bullshit.
That what you just said, whenever you said that it was Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty are basically doing the same thing but better.
Way better.
That tells you something. Two game franchises that we've given so much shit to for being awful for years are doing a better job than Bethesda is right now. That's
Now, we are only
that's bad.
13 days into Fallout 76. It is
true.
entirely possible this entire thing is going to turn around in the next couple weeks.
Maybe it'll take 76 days.
We just wanted to give you an honest assessment of where the game is now. And honestly, as a Fallout fan, I'm hoping that we can come back to this, revisit it in a couple months ago. You know what? They fucked up, but they turned it around, and I'm really excited to play this game now.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I genuinely, like I said at the beginning, if you're enjoying the game now, good on you. I think I could show you some better games, but you know, if you're having fun, you're having fun.
There's
if you
we
just
can
want
give
to
you
be
like way more fun games to play.
if
than
you just
this.
want to be inside of more Fallout, fine.
Yeah,
you
sure.
should probably just go replay Fallout 4 or 3 or New Vegas.
or just
do that one.
Run one of the mods.
So that's everything that we have for the epilogue this week. I know that we ran a bit long, but this was supposed to be kind of educational and kind of it was almost a state of the union for where the game is.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a shame that the game launched this way. So telling people now, and you hear people say like, "Oh, we'll just see what happens in, see what the game is like in a year," because it isn't always on service, and it may vastly
Look at No Man's Sky right now. No
Yeah.
Man's Sky is so good compared to how it launched.
Exactly.
I'm
We're
actually
hoping-
afraid of playing No Man's Sky because so much has changed. I'm like, I don't
might
even
really
know where
get
to.
into it.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that invested in a game.
might.
That I was fun. It was. I spent. It was like Minecraft level of like a day and a half. You're like, what are you like? I don't. Wait, I'm still on
And
the
that's
couch.
what I'm hoping for Fallout 76. I'm hoping that we get that No Man's Sky where
Yeah.
we come back and revisit it in 6 months ago. This is the game that I was looking for.
I would hope so.
Yeah. All right, that's everything we have for the show this week. If you have any opinions about any things that we've talked about, Tony, where can they find us?
Info@thesilvernerd.com is our email address. Silvernerd.com's our website. There's a donate button, articles for you to read and whatnot. We have twitch.tv/silvernerd live Mondays about 7:30 Central. This week was an off week, so if you're listening to this on a podcast provider, then at this point,
And Spotify.
that's a podcast provider, motherfucker. I'm getting to my shit. I know what the fuck I do's. You can give us a rating and review. You can suggest us to other listeners, like on Facebook.com/SerlingNerd or Twitter @TheSerlingNerd. You can do that. You can tweet us. You can tweet other people with our name. You can tag us in some shit, you fucking bitch.
Yeah.
You could not invite us to Fallout 76 because I think at this point we're all decided like we're not buying it.
No,
Like,
not now. That's
no,
for sure.
I was gonna give it for James for Christmas, but he just said. But when we were off the show, he's like, "Unless I'm getting that fucking crazy
Helmet.
fucking pit boy or fucking skull thing helmet, I ain't fucking doing it." And I was like, "Cool, I ain't got that kind of money for a game that's this broken."
All right, that's everything we have for the show this week. Thank you very much, not only to all of our adventurers, but also to both Tony and Hector for really fronting the majority of this episode while I've been sick. I really do appreciate it, guys.
You're doing a lot better on your like the past couple of days. You've been sitting on the couch, not moving. Sick.
Playing Persona 5, that's all I've been doing.
Well, weirdly, not playing Persona 5 that much because I didn't hear Persona a lot.
I'm doing the death experience cheat, so it takes time. Anyways, that's everything we have for the show this week. Thank you very much for tuning into the episode. Until next week, adventurers, for Tony, this is James.
For James, this is Tony,
I'm Hector.
Adventurers, good night.
and good game. I lost the mouse there for a second. I need the mouse to be like 7 times the size whenever it's fucking when I'm doing
It just recognizes your left hand and the cursor just grows. That'd be awesome.
I'm over here, friend.